Hey guys, what's going on? It's your boy Roliver Queen. Hope you guys are doing well. Hope you guys are doing good. I am back. I know I took 2 weeks off. But yeah, I'm here, man. I'm back, and I'm once again joined by my homie, my road dog, my home skillet, my brother AJ. My brother, reintroduce yourself to the channel, man.
Hey, it's me, AJ. Hadn't been here in a while. Good to be back. Yeah, and we're ready to talk about this little event that DC is putting on called Dark Crisis. How's that going?
Oh boy. But yeah, before we do that, let's do some housekeeping, man. Let's do a little bit of catch up. Yeah, guys. I had COVID like 2 weeks ago. Um, the first day sucked, but other than that, I was doing pretty fine. After that, the only problem is that um when you have a mild case and you feel good after like the second or third day, it's just a bitch staying home because you know you feel fine, but you can't leave your room, you can't leave your crib.
Right.
So that drove me up a fucking wall. But the upside is that I caught up on a lot of Infinite Crisis. I'm binged like chapter after chapter, and I finally made it through the main event, guys. Finally, that is so much fucking butter. Can we talk about that for a little bit, bro?
Go ahead, man. I saw when you got to that infamous Trinity panel, your mind was kind of blown. I didn't want
Bro,
to spoil anything for you, so I just said let him read, let him read.
listen, bro. I was like, you know what? This is a lot of build up, but the crazy part is that I like it. It's you touch upon different aspects of the DC universe, and they're all going through like their different things, and you're just like, yo, where the fuck is this leading to? But at the same time, it's like, this is really fucking fun. And then
Yeah, it's
by
what
the
a crisis is supposed to be.
bro,
Um, and nah, seeing your reaction to it, I'm looking at it on my shelf. I'm like, man, it's kind of pushing me to reread it again just to get that feeling back. Because,
bro,
like I said, the current event is not giving me that.
it's not, and we'll touch on it. And I'm happy I binged. Well, I'm happy that I'm binging Infinite Crisis right now. But before I continue, I just want to acknowledge Tevia in the chat. Tevia, always good to see you, brother. Always good to see you. I already know Tevia about to go off in this chat, and I'm ready for it. Our day is going fine. I got back from work, got my drink. Major, how's your day going, man?
Not too many good days right about now. We are dealing with the aftermath of my mom's passing, but it's good to be here, take my mind off things for a bit.
Word. And I know I didn't say it on air, but condolences, man, condolences.
Yeah, appreciate it, man. Appreciate it.
And Tevia, don't worry, we see this comment. We're gonna come back to this. We're gonna come back to this. All right, we're gonna come back to this. Um, but yeah, back to Infinite Crisis, right? So I'm reading all the build up. I'm like, all right, where is it going? But the stories are good, and then again, it's touching up on like the different aspects of the DC universe. Like it feels rich. It feels like, I'm not gonna lie, bro. I wish I was back there into comics when Infinite Crisis was
Hmm.
coming out, man. Because I don't know, but I feel so much joy reading this. And then when the main event hit, because here's the thing, if you guys don't know this, the Infinite Crisis Omni, I got the latest one. I believe it came out 2 years ago. So I seen it, I got it. Um, it's a very bulky omnibus, but
Yeah, that's a
yo,
thick book, boy.
it's thick, bro. But 75% of the omnibus is like countdown stuff and
Hmm.
build up. But when you make it to the main Infinite Crisis story, it it all gels together, and your mind's just like, bruh, it makes sense. It hits, and the story hits even harder with all that context. And then they revisit the stuff that you reread. They revisit the stuff that you read in the build up to it, and it's beautiful, man. And then I read Dark Crisis, and I'm like, bro, what the fuck? Let's talk about it, man. Let's start off with our first initial thoughts. So we're 6 issues in now. So AJ, I'll let you go first, man. What are your thoughts? We can talk about the tie-ins, everything. And by the way, guys, we are going full spoilers. So if you have not read Dark Crisis yet, I don't know what the fuck you're doing. If you want to stay, I mean, I'm not gonna stop you. It's just great for my channel, and I'm happy that you want to listen to my thoughts. But hey, we full spoilers here. Ladies and gentlemen, we got another guest. Hold up, my brother. What's going on?
What's good, y'all?
Hey, you made it just in time, man. So, go ahead. Introduce yourself, my friend. Introduce yourself.
Well, my Twitter tag is QQ22 with Bruce Wayne. And the end of it, I'm a writer and owner of New Era Comics. That's about all. Ain't that interesting?
All right. And I'm happy you made it. I know it's like super last minute, but you made it just in time. So I was just giving a little bit of background. But I was gonna have AJ go first, give his thoughts about Infinite Crisis as a whole. We talking tie-ins, we talking build up.
Dark Crisis, right?
Oh, sorry, Dark Crisis. My bad. See, I'm so caught up in that damn event right now.
It's a much better event.
So much better. But yeah, AJ, go ahead, man. The floor is yours. What do you think?
I mean, it's inconsequential, man. You and I were talking earlier in the year, might even been part of last year when we just were saying, eventually the cracks are going to have to start to show with Williamson because he was doing
Mm-hmm.
so much at the time. Like, I think what was it? He was writing Batman, he's writing Deathstroke King that turned into Shadow War, led into Dark Crisis. He had the Justice League Incarnate, like all of that trying to tie in together, being done by one writer in rapid succession. Some of them even happening concurrently.
Mm-hmm.
The cracks were going to start to show. He lasted longer than I thought he would, but man, Dark Crisis it's a bunch of nothing, honestly. And that's sad to say because first off, let's take it back to Justice League 75, right?
Mm-hmm.
You kill off the Justice League, and I'm saying kill in quotation marks because we all know, yeah, they weren't gonna die. Um, that should be a moment where you feel something. I don't care if you're a long-time reader or not. I don't care if you're new to comics. You know who the Justice League is. Seeing them die, that should have long-lasting consequences that are felt throughout the universe. Dark Crisis, it really doesn't feel like that. Part of it is because of other people in the event saying, "Hey, we've been here through death before." It never really sticks, and yeah, that's very much true. But I'm sorry, your readers should be sinking into this. I'm not seeing it too much. The tie-ins have absolutely been better than the main event. I think, with the exception of the Wonder Woman tie-in, I wasn't feeling that too much, but the Swamp Thing one as the backup story, that was pretty good. But the Batman tie-in, the Flash tie-ins have been superb.
Oh yeah, that's it. Tevia pointed that out.
Yeah.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
But the main event is just like, nah, bro. Like, the only thing I'm getting out of the main event is John Kent is finally getting a couple of good moments, other than instead of whatever Taylor's been doing with him for the past year and a half now. John is actually getting to throw his weight around a little bit, show that, hey, he might not be ready for it, but it shows you that one day he can be a worthy successor to that mantle.
Mm-hmm.
We're getting that in Dark Crisis. That's about the only good thing that's coming to me from this event. Then I was a little bit really. I'm sorry, I'm watching a game at the same time.
No, you good, bro.
Back
You good.
yeah. The Green Arrow death, maybe not death, that just happened in 6. Like, Williamson has been doing all of this work with various members of the Green Arrow family, and what was the point of that just happening right now? And he's already said plans. I said that he intends for whoever the next writer is to follow up on that stuff. So it lets me know he's not doing anything with him. So what was the past 2 years for? And all the little hints and Easter eggs he's dropped all over the place for the past, you know. however many months, over how many issues. I don't know, man. Dark Crisis. It feels like a big ball of nothing for me right now. I've said it before. I'll say it again. Shadow War should have been DC's main event of the year, and that's not me saying that Shadow War was a great event because it wasn't, but it's much better than what we're getting now. I still have to finish AXE over at Marvel, but that at least gave me some semblance of a big time event happening in comics that matters. Dark Crisis, it's not doing much of anything for me at the moment. We've got one issue left. Maybe somehow Williamson manages to pull a rabbit out of his hat, but I doubt it.
Yeah, let me and you mentioned something here, and I'll touch upon it, maybe a little bit later. But yeah, the Green Arrow stuff bothered me a lot. It bothered me a lot. And surprisingly enough, I recorded a video about it this morning. I may just clip this part of the live and make this the video, or I'll just upload it, whatever I feel, whatever. But yeah, that bothered me a lot, because even beyond Dark Crisis, Green Arrow hasn't done anything significant. Yes, he had a short stint as a leader in Bendis's run. Yes, Event Leviathan happened. Yes, Checkmate happened. Yes, Deep Target happened. But a lot of that hasn't been good. And a lot of it is just kind of very forgettable. And so when I read when I read Justice League 75, and he's the only one out of the Justice League who has a death that sticks, that bothers me. Like, Green Arrow got his fucking neck or back snap. Like, he's dead. Like, he didn't get trained. Like, and I'll get to that also. Like, he's dead, but he's alive again, but we don't know how that's happening. And then when we see all the Justice League come back together in issue 6, now he's speaking like he's about to die. And then I read the interview that comes out the next day saying, yeah, this is just a build up, for his eventual, new series. It's like, I get what you're trying to do, but number one, you have been teasing a Green Arrow book for 2 years now. That book should have been out this year. Number two, why would you kill off a character who really hasn't had much of anything happening? None of the stuff that's happened to Green Arrow lately has held weight. Like, the book, I don't want to say nobody's reading those books, but it's some mid, bro. Bendis got on there, did some mid. I fuck with Brandon Thomas, but that Deep Target book was sub mid. So it's like, what was the point, man? Like,
the last time he's been meaningful was when he got the box in that was supposed to be he's supposed to be the one who could be able to take down the Justice League. That was his last solo run toward the end, like 50, 51 or something.
Still hasn't been touched upon. Still.
What's that?
Still hasn't been touched upon. Still.
No, it hasn't. Not at all. To go from that, positioning Ollie as being the one guy who could stand against the League if they ever needed it to happen, to, Black Canary work as part of her ties to Team 7, confronting him about that, and, trying to take the box for the government, all of that, to him just, abandoning the box because he didn't think anything was really in it, to where we are now. I mean, that's, those should be consequential plot lines, and yet nothing has come of that. And he's fading into insignificance in this event anyway. But it's more than disappointing.
It's a shame. So, and I don't mean to get into the editorial bag, but it's just like, bro, you want to do this to Batman. I know you would not do this to Batman. You want to do it to Nightwing. You want to do that to them, bro. So I don't know. I think a lot of it is disrespect. But we can circle back around that. Quentin, what are your thoughts about Dark Dark Crisis and everything else, man. I want to hear from you. What's up?
Oh, what's good, y'all? You know, I think y'all hit on a lot of the same points that I'm probably gonna echo. If it's an art book, then it's top tier. You know what I mean? Like if it's an art book, it's top tier. I think this is their best way, just on the publishing side. I mean, I've been pretty adamant about it on the timeline. It's their way of kind of getting all distilling all those ideals they had with 5G out. Like,
Mhm.
I think it's a cluster. I think they rushed it, as I think y'all
Mm.
both said. Like Shadow War and this Lazarus Planet thing should have been the main focus. Um, I don't know. Like, I'm a Nightwing guy, so I'm eating on that part. But it's just like it's like the whole initiative since the beginning with the legacy characters being introduced has seemed forced, right? Like, not saying they haven't been hits or like they haven't been good characters or they haven't had good moments, but it's it's been scattered to me. Like it's never seemed focused. Dark Crisis, like you guys said about some of the tie-ins, like the Green Arrow one was cool, but I doubt any of that's going to be picked up on when all the dust settles. Um, you know, like I said, I've avoided some of the tie-ins. I'm not even gonna lie to you. Like I've touched on like the Flashes, I touched on Green Arrow, but the rest of them, I let that go. I was just gonna piss myself off. So, but I mean, I really touched on everything when it came to Dark Crisis, bro. Like I'm just trying to wait to see like how they're gonna stick the landing. That's really where I'm at with like with all the preview art for the last covers. Like, why is Nightwing glowing? Like, I'm just trying to see. I kind of know what's gonna happen, but I just don't want it to be the thing. You know what I mean? Like, what I'm expecting to happen at the end of this, it's gonna be horrible, bro. Like, I
Talk
think it's gonna
about
be
it.
bad.
Talk about it. What do you think's gonna
I really,
happen? Talk about it.
I think Nightwing's gonna get powers or something to bind all the universes together. It may not be something. Remember when Damien died? He came back with Omega powers. If y'all remember that for like I don't know, like 2 or 3 issues. I think it's gonna be something similar vein as that.
Mm.
I think they've been since Rebirth trying to position Nightwing as kind of like their flag bearer in a way. Uh, man, I'm just trying to just get to the event, bro. I'm just trying to focus on Batman versus Batman versus Robin, bro. That's probably carrying the most weight. Like in those 3 issues of Batman versus Robin compared to that, it's been look this week's episode, this week's issue, the last 5 pages with Alfred, all of that has been like more impactful than the fake out with Garth dying. You know, uh, it's some of the things they have tried to pull off. Just being
Hmm.
honest, just haven't really like we all can tell it's bullshit. Like we knew that Lee was coming back. You know what I mean? Like they didn't even sell it right. Like if they're gonna die, you need to build that up. It can't be one episode and it just disappear, or one issue. I'm sorry, but like
Thank you.
it should have been an arc leading up to that. You know what I mean? Like leading up to it, or we can build it up. Like, or it should have, like you said, with the boxes haven't been touched on. It could have piggybacked to that. I really do trust Josh Williamson to a degree. I listened to I think his word bubble when he was talking about everything. Um, I think he has a plan, right? I think he has a plan, and I just think they should have like some. Remember how Dark Reign was kind of done for Marvel with
Yeah.
Daredevil? That
Hmm.
should have been kind of how Daredevil. I mean, maybe Dark Crisis should have been something that was strictly in the Justice League book, right? Or at least a build up. Like Dark Reign, I feel like it's the way we should run events from now on. Like personally, like it carried more. Like I think about that series. I think about that mini series like a lot lately, right? Especially when I'm reading Daredevil and Punisher and all those things that tie it all together from it stem from even Thunderbolts. Like Dark Reign was more impactful. I think A versus Avengers versus X was like similar type of thing. Like I kind of like the miniseries in a way. I know a
Hmm.
lot of people are indifferent about it, but I liked it because it was more of the emotional side. Like
Yeah.
we saw Cat couldn't power his way through that. You know what I'm saying? By inspiring everybody. Like people that you thought were going to fail passed, and people you thought passed were going to pass like with flying colors failed. Like people talk shit about that Spider-Man tie-in. Just sidebar a little bit. Like
Hmm.
that one to me was kind of dope. You know what I'm saying? For him to have finally get closure. You know what I'm saying? To know. You know what I'm saying? To say it out loud. I still love it. I still love you, Gwen. You know what I'm saying? To hear Gwen
Mm-hmm.
say it back, that's impactful, especially when you haven't had Peter in a serious relationship in their 15 years, right? Going back to Carrie Cooper, like he ain't really had a really solid relationship since that, and even then that ended in the flaming glory. But going back to Dark Crisis, I mean, it's not really much that can be touched on that hasn't already been said and complaining. I think it's a lot of the same things that have been going on with this initiative. Like it's been a lot of pandering and tailoring, and good or bad. You know what I mean? Like that's not saying it's a bad thing or a good thing. It's just it's very obvious what they have done with certain titles, right? And I think some of that bled into it. Like if you read I Am Batman, where the dialogue's been better, like the last two issues of I Am Batman have been
Yeah.
dialogue wise have been better, right? It hasn't been super. It hasn't been black privilege, like white privilege this or I hate being. It was just like it was just you know what I mean when I say that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So to see him say all of a sudden, it kind of went back to the bad dialogue of the last few pages. Like he had all the fear thing bubble up, and all of a sudden I got to go join, and I feel bad and stuff like that. Like you should have been playing that up in I Am Batman 3 months ago. You know what I'm saying? Like that should have been a main focus than some of the things that they have chose to focus on, right? And as a writer, it bothers me because sometimes I say things and people see the trigger words and just kind of disregard the point I'm trying to make. We focus in on the wrong things, and and I know from a business standpoint, they do it because that's going to make them money. That's going to draw in the fans. Like
Mm-hmm.
I think all of us can understand why they went the direction of making John bisexual. Nothing wrong with it. It doesn't change from John, but we know what that is. We know that
Mm-hmm.
that was Tom Taylor being pressured from the timeline, and people wanted to see that, so they did it. And what happened? The sales boosted for 2 issues, and they and like I said, I'm not like for me, Son of Kal-El wasn't a good run, not because of it was just because all three arcs literally focused on John coming out. That was it. It was very
Mm-hmm.
it was some Superman stuff in there, but that was the main focus. Like this past issue, as great as it was, it focused on his insecurity about coming out to his dad. Before
Mm-hmm.
that, it was about the build up to revealing him and Jay. Then before that, it was him telling Lois. Everything has been centered around that instead of the opposite. Like his
Mm-hmm.
struggles as Superman should have strengthened or gave him the courage to come out or led to that. You know what I mean? Like they
Mm-hmm.
did it ass backwards to me, and they've been doing that with a lot of the legacy characters. Everything's been focused on race and sexuality, and I think the writing takes a dip for it. Right? They spend so many panels and picture and like, panels and captions on explaining something that didn't really get that much depth. You could have shown that. You could have shown us that rather than tell us. And that's the
Yep.
thing. That's a lot of my problem with it. Um, Show us. Don't tell us. Don't tell me Carol Danvers is a strong, powerful woman. Show me. You know what I mean? Like that was
Mm-hmm.
my issue with Captain Marvel as a movie. Like she had a tagline every other episode, and then she played off Tony's role, like kind of like they try to play up like kind of like Tony's personality in a way. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
it's not Carol at all. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wait. Quinn, did we lose you? He'll probably be back. Um, he'll probably be back. But yeah, no, I can definitely understand from that point of view. And yeah, we can slide into that while we wait for
Oh
Quentin.
man, with Charger.
Oh,
I
oh,
think
you
I'm back.
back? You
Hello.
back? Yeah, we got you. Go ahead.
First movie.
Oh, damn, we lost you again, brother. That Wi-Fi is not hitting.
I think it's because my battery is dying. I really
Okay.
been watching my daughter all day. So let me find a charger. But like it's just that I feel like in Wonder Woman you delivered the message without showing the message, telling us like over and
Mm-hmm.
over repeatedly. Even in press runs, Gail Gadot wasn't talking about it wasn't for middle-aged white men, even though middle-aged white men are the only reason why Carol Danvers got a movie. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Like that's
That's some
on like
hard.
real shit. Let's be honest, right? So you see people on the timeline get so caught up in not pissing anybody off, trying to be influencers instead of just being honest. And like I know I've lost a lot of people, followers from just being a little too blunt. And it's like you don't ever want to disrespect, especially me being in the mix now. Like I don't want to disrespect anybody's writing, bro. Like That's why I try not to say too much. If you know me and I see y'all talking about it, I'll drop a little bar in there. But like for the most part, Dark Crisis compared to other Crisis events, bringing it back to the topic, it's lacking in the sense of scope. Infinite. I remember when I first read Final Crisis, and I was coming in cold. I had like just started reading Cape shit like in '08, right after Dark Knight. I just started reading. Only comics I read was Sonic the Hedgehog for years. That's all Archie. All I ever collected. And after that, I started with Battle of the Cow. So I got into Batman Reborn, and then I got Final Crisis and Infinite Crisis from Barnes and Noble. And I remember reading it, and I was like, "Oh shit, this is like Revelations in the Bible." You know what I'm saying? I'm like,
Yeah.
and I see people like talk shit about it, and I'm like, bro, like first off, for me as a black person, the main characters in that story was Black Lightning, tattooed man. Like it was, I was like, oh shit. Like for me, like that was diverse. Like when people yell about diversity, I'd be like, bro, I feel you, but in every cartoon I've ever watched, I can identify who's the alternative person, who's probably the queer guy, queer representation. It's all been there. Sometimes it's not on the forefront. You know what I'm saying? It's not on the forefront. I think that's what a lot of people are looking for. People directly say it. One of my biggest gripes with Tim Drake, I hate going on a tangent, but like it doesn't match the character. Like literally, like Tim always has had his shit together. That's his main thing, being the most complete Robin without the trauma. Like that guy would have identified. I feel like, no, I'm not gay. I'm not bisexual, so I've never been through the journey itself. But I would assume somebody with his personality would have identified what he wanted in life or what he desired very early on. It wouldn't be going through this Thor like journey from the MCU. Like, oh, woe is me. Like every time we see him, he doesn't seem confident. Like ever since they said it, he doesn't seem confident. Matter of fact, I go back. Ever since the Gotham Knights run in Detective, he hasn't felt confident. He hasn't felt like the
spitting. This nigga spitting.
He hasn't felt like Tim Drake that I read in the Red Robin series in almost 10 years, 10, 20 years, bro. Like, and I'm saying that Red Robin series, that's Tim Drake, bro. You can't tell me, you can't look me in the eye and say you read all that and read the current stuff and tell me him and Tam isn't more impactful than him and Bernard. And I think we all know why that's being pushed and that wasn't pushed. And I mean, it is what it is. And I think that's what's hurting the Dark Crisis event. Like it's played its role, bro. Like low key, as much as I love Jace Fox and I love the idea of it, but I'm kind of ready to get back to status quo, bro. I'm kind of like John really hasn't knocked it out the park to the point where like I gotta have Jason's Batman. Gotta be two Batmans. Like it has nothing has cemented him as a character. Like if you moved him, that's why I think you, Roliver, you had commented about my shuffling of the mantle thing. I think it's coming because they already like the two Batman things not gonna happen, especially if the Batman keeps rolling, right? And they get the DCU on track. They're gonna want brand synergy. They're gonna want that, especially because that's all Marvel does. They already openly said we're going to follow the Marvel blueprint. So that's why I feel like some of the characters you see in the forefront of.
Oh, we lost you again, brother. Probably give him a second. We'll probably be right back. He's preaching though. Damn, bro.
Yeah, to piggyback on that though, you can kind of from stuff DC has shown us and just from a feel of things, where they are sales wise and whatnot, you can tell they want to get back to tried and true stuff. That's why you see a lot of, hey, let's bring the JSA back. Hey, just I don't think there's going to be as much of a focus on Legacy going forward. At least the new crop, I should say, they'll pop up in on ensemble books and things of that nature. But I mean, Ro, we were when we were doing the pod, I think this was one of our earlier episodes. We said, "Hey, Sonic Kal-El is gonna last 18 issues." What do we hear like a month ago? Sonic Kal-El is ending at 18. It's okay. DC they let y'all try out this initiative that y'all want to do. Some stuff worked, some stuff didn't. the stuff that worked, we'll keep around. We'll try to integrate it into some other things for maybe retool some stuff. But a lot of this is never going to be thought of again.
Yeah, and let me, and also, yeah, I'm gonna give my thoughts about it too, and I'm gonna kind of circle back to, you know what you guys have said. You know, I mentioned it before, Quentin, before we got here. I was talking about, Infinite Crisis. I think one of the biggest things that's hindering, Dark Crisis from, hitting from, just a story standpoint, it's just like, the build up wasn't really there. Like, Justice League Incarnate and Infinite Frontier, I think those were pretty good build-ups, but it was very self-contained. You mostly focused on the Justice League Incarnate, which I don't know where the fuck they are at. That's one of my biggest problems, but I'm gonna try to stay on track. Let me stay on track right here. So the rest of the universe, like leading up to Dark Crisis, like where is that, man? It's like, and I think it kind of goes back to editorial statement, because it's like so many like books have been chopped off over the last year or some change. So it's just like, when you try to do a crisis, you're missing key elements, man. You're missing key elements. And also too, the writing quality as well. So it's just like, it's both of those things like working against each other. So that when you have a Dark Crisis, is just like, well, you're missing certain things, man. You don't have the buildup. The only buildup you have is from 2 miniseries. The rest of the line is kind of moving willy-nilly, and it kind of falls flat on its face. So and also let's talk about that too. Dark Crisis, a crisis should have the Justice League as the forefront, or at least the Justice League should be like steering that story. But the Justice League have been treated so badly. They really haven't been of prominence in so many years. So when you get the news of a Justice League 75, I'm not surprised that the fans is like, yeah, because the book has been nothing for a good couple of years now. And then stack that on top of, hey, the rest of the universe isn't really there. We're getting a bunch of miniseries, but these miniseries aren't really tying into anything. They're kind of just there. So when all of a sudden you say, hey, we have a new crisis, it's like, well, what did we do to earn this crisis outside of the 2 miniseries that Joshua Williamson has done? And then now we're going to talk about the legacy characters. The legacy characters right here, I feel like out of all of them, maybe 2 or 3 were either decent or what have you. Like, I think Yara Floor Wonder Girl was solid, but that got canceled. You had everything that was happening with Son of Kal-El. Like, it started off great, but then we already realized what the gimmick was. No disrespect to bisexual people. We okay. Then you got Jace Fox Batman. Started off great, but then Ridley took a nosedive. You got Green Lantern. That was, streets is saying it was mixed reviews. So it's just like, okay, the thing that you're trying to push as the center focus of Dark Crisis, the readership isn't really behind it. So it's just like, what are we doing here? It's just like so many different things are missing to make this feel like a crisis. And then now we got to start being honest here. Like, the rest of the line, now that the crisis is here, isn't even acknowledging it. And I said on the timeline, it's like,
yes, bro.
Like,
go ahead. But yeah, I definitely want to get into that.
The rest of the line isn't really acknowledging it. And let's be completely honest too, quality wise, it's kind of kneecapping the crisis. Now, I can only imagine, bro, you are reading that Chip Zdarsky is on Batman, bro. Yeah. You not paying attention to Dark Crisis. You reading
not at all.
Philip Kennedy Johnson is doing amazing things with Green Lantern, yet I don't know if you're really paying attention to Dark Crisis. You got everything that's happening with Batman, Superman, all these other books. Then you also got the timeline placement. Oh, this takes place before Dark Crisis. Oh, this takes place, bro.
You want to know when I realized nobody was paying attention to what anybody else is doing.
Mm-hmm.
Justice League 75, when all the Justice League members are getting transported, right, to
Mm-hmm.
wherever that was that happened, that they all got killed. Okay. They came and got Superman. That was during the War World event. Why
Bruh.
was he flying, dog?
Yep.
He didn't have his powers. He was flying and his hair was all black. And this is after Enchantress has been caught. So she's not even working her magic on him anymore. Like, nobody is paying attention to what the other person is doing. And you expect me to believe all of this is connected? No.
Bruh, it's insane. It's fucking insane. It's fucking insane. And here's the crazy part: it's Joshua Williamson, and Joshua Williamson is a big nut for continuity. Bro, how you missed that?
Like we said, stuff was going to start slipping through the cracks. Like, they brought in John into Dark Crisis, and I'm like, okay, cool. He hasn't been on the Justice League since Snyder's run. Like, what are we doing here, guys? Like, nobody is paying attention to everybody else, and you expect me to believe that this stuff is connected.
And
the decision initially to
uh-huh.
not have it affect any of the leaguers' books, like, oh, everybody's book is going to continue on even when these guys are dead. And at first I'm like, okay, cool. I can understand it from a story-wise perspective of, hey, we don't want to interrupt the stories that these writers are telling, and I can also understand it from a sales perspective because DC, you could tell kind of they're running bare minimum until they get into the first and second quarters of 2023, and they bring in some new titles. If you were to cancel the Leaguer's books, that would be a major hit to your line.
Of course.
So I'm like, okay, I get it from that perspective. But now here we are 6 months into the event, and it's like,
yeah, we can hear you, bro.
That's part of the reason why nobody cares, bro.
Mm-hmm. Yep. It's
like I don't have to read Dark Crisis because, hey, I still got Batman over here doing his thing against Failsafe. I don't have to read Dark Crisis because I'm just getting Superman in an epic War World saga. That should have been its own book. I haven't been reading.
No, they need to do.
Ahead.
You know what they need to do? They need to do an MC2 type of thing, right? They try to do it with Earth 2, but they didn't stick with it. Dude, like, give the Legacy League their own time frame and just focus on. You have a couple of series that focus solely on that time frame, and that's it. Like, but trying to tightrope it is what's kind of like it's tearing from the quality of it, and it's really building a toxic community. To be honest with you, dog, like, everybody has, like, I do think the Golden Age stuff is gonna be pretty good. I'm just kind of pissed off that all the fucking new characters are like carbon copies of everybody. Like, that's the only thing I don't like.
Yeah,
like,
I still gotta read that.
I'm not gonna lie. I liked it. I'm not gonna spoil it, but I'm thinking it's bridging some of the Tom King Batman and Catwoman stuff. Like, so now it draws into that shit into, like, is that continuity now? Like, at least that's what I took away from it, at least. That's about all I'm gonna say on it. But I don't know. I like what they're setting up with Golden Age, right? To give a little twist on it, get some Golden Age style books out there for those older fans that like those kind of stories. It might help. Give it with a modern twist.
And that's another thing too. Is just like, I like Flashpoint Beyond. I think this is probably Jeff Johns' strongest work in a very long time. But I can also see the criticisms against that because it's like, well, just like it's running concurrently with Dark Crisis. It's like two major things happening at the same time. And then you also have the situation where, hey, Flashpoint Beyond low-key spoiled the ending of Dark Crisis. It's just like, oh, the Justice League are back and everything is fine. Come on, bro. You don't. I get it. I get it. Yes, it's part of the journey. We all know everything's gonna be fine, but at the same time, just like, bro, why would you still do that? You know what I'm saying? Why would you
delay the book a month?
Yeah.
It's the same thing they did with Doomsday Clock and Three Jokers. I think it was three Jokers, right? Same
Yeah, three
thing.
Jokers. Yeah. So it's like, why would you do this? Like for me, I understood because I think they did it a little better this time around because for at least for the first 5 issues of Flashpoint Beyond, you know, it it came out at the same time as Dark Crisis, and they were like directly referencing things. It was like, oh, this is cool. It's this nice little parallel. But I can also see the other readers were just like, this is a little confusing, or why would you do this? So it's just like it's weird. And Tevia mentioned something great. It's like, the DC continuity is a clusterfuck. And like, and to circle back to the whole having the League's books still continuing on while Dark Crisis is happening. I think a year, how many years are we in Infinite Frontier now? Maybe like we're about to go into our second year into this whole Infinite Frontier thing. I think it was a mistake for the Omniverse, man. I think the Omniverse thing gave DC a lot of leeway to kind of just do whatever willy-nilly. Because and you can use the excuse everything is happening, but I don't think it's a good idea now that we're almost 2 years into it. I think that really kneecapped it because it's weird. You're telling me the Justice League is dead. Yes, you can use the caveat of, okay, they got transported to their own separate worlds, but dead is a big word. So if Batman is legit not around, I can see as a reader how I'm confused. Well, this book is telling me Batman's not around, and he doesn't pop up back until the 6th issue of this crisis. But if I'm reading this other book here, and Batman seems to be fine, you're telling me Superman is gone, but Superman is not on Earth in this other book. He's doing some really awesome shit here. So it's, you see what I'm saying? It's not working. It's not really gelling together. Like for me as a continuity buff, I can make excuses or I can make it fit in my head, but for a reader or even a casual reader, I can understand the struggle, if that makes sense.
Absolutely, because I mean, think about it. When we were first hearing about Dark Crisis, they were telling us, "Oh, this takes place at some unidentified time in the future." As to, okay, it's not gonna mess with your main line, and you're telling me that, and it's like, all right, I guess, but once again, what reason do I have to feel any attachment to this at this point now? If I know that, hey, the main books are continuing on perfectly fine, it's like, okay, so it's not affecting the stuff now. Then I'm seeing your plans for the next year, and very little of it seems to touch on Dark Crisis other than Nightwing's supposedly becoming, him having a heightened place in the universe. What's there to care about? Because you know that the writers are not going to come in and say, "Hey, okay, let's tell these stories in the time where Dark Crisis was happening." That's not going to happen. Their plans for 2023 are already showing that. That was just an excuse that they gave us to, fend off the obvious criticisms of, "Hey, if the Justice League is supposedly dead, why are their books still going on?" That was just a line that was sold to the readership at the time. And a lot of us bought it, myself included. I'm not excluded from that.
It was all for sales. It was all for sales.
Absolutely.
All it was. Now the question is, do y'all miss the new 52 yet? That's the question. Like,
hey, I never had a problem with 90% of the new 52.
I think the new 52 was rushed. That's the only bad part about it. It was rushed. But I think if they would have kept with what they did the first week of new 52, and they just launched the Justice League book, and then like slowly sprawled it out.
Yo, bro, your voice is a little cracky. Like it's say something's up.
Oh,
it's like
my bad.
No, you good, bro. You good.
No, I feel like New 52 was balanced. It gave us all genres. We got some really classic arts out of that. I mean, like it was just it was more thought out than 5G or Infinite Frontier. It was just more well thought out. I think that, I mean, or the structurally, it was more thought out, right? The ideal of wiping the slate clean and going from there, and it's a condensed history, right? AKA whatever sold stayed intact, and then whatever didn't, we're gonna retwist. Like I still say, Wonder Woman becoming Zeus's daughter. As much as I love her being made out of clay, that makes a lot more sense because her role gallery was ass. It was ass. So giving her her family drama. I always pray. I will praise the Brian Azella chain run. I love it. I think it's
Thank
one of
you.
the best ones. It was most unique. Like people talk about Diana's portrayal in it, her being more, but he already said, "I'm writing the warrior Diana. I'm not trying to write the global ambassador." It was a good issue. I think we'll get back to the focus on hand and not try to reach. I think some of the books, I think that's what Josh Williams done with the Flash stories, the telling of it. He just started telling Flash stories. I think that's what Infinite Frontiers is supposed to be like. You know what I mean? Like, just tell your story. I think they added too much context to it. Hey, yo, just tell your story. This is what we're taking out at. This is where we're starting. Our starting point. Just tell your story. Don't worry about so much. Keep it confined. If it has to cross over with somebody, then cool.
Yes.
But like, I like. It goes back to what I said about Dark Reign. It kept the characters that story, umbrella, shadow. You know what I'm saying? Kept under that umbrella, but it didn't have to worry about Iron Man or something like that. It wasn't that grand. And I think for like going back to Dark Crisis, for a story that's supposed to be this epic to tell in a time frame that we really don't know too much about because it's supposed to be in a distant future, it should have been more ambiguous. Like Deathstroke being the final person up is ridiculous. I get it. I get it. But I get it because it's a Nightwing story. At the end of the day, this is a Nightwing story. It's not a Legacy League story. It is a goddamn Dick Grayson story. And if we would have focused on Dick Grayson a little bit more, I think it'd have been more. I think this would have been a more focused event. I think they wanted to. Go ahead, my bad.
I don't mean to cut you off. Like I see what you're saying. Like, you know, now that you're saying that, was okay, cool. This might be a good Dick Grayson story. But again, this always circles back to cohesion, and it always circles back to unison. You know, like I think, you know, if this, like, you got to remember too, also, just like Dick Grayson has had a very interesting last couple years. Very, very, very interesting. And I think, you know, if you were really building, you know, if this is, you know, really a Dick Grayson story, you know, cool, you can have Taylor do whatever the fuck he is that he's doing on that book. But I don't know, maybe in the main Justice League book, you kind of start to sprinkle that seed here. Okay, all right, cool, Dick Grayson is back. Let's, you know, let's really try to let's try to build up the story of him being in prominence to Dark Crisis. I think Williamson did a pretty solid job with the death metal, like couple issue tie that he did, because Dick Grayson had just finished getting shot in the head. He got his memories back, and then right after that was the doom metal tie, and then we got to see him kind of, you know, he was still rough around the edges around getting his memory back, but he had to learn once again what it's like to lead a team, you know, what it's like to lead the next thing of heroes. And, you know, yes, you could also throw Titans Academy in there, because yes, that work was done in Titans Academy, but also that book wasn't great, but whether it was great or not, the work was still done. Could have been a little bit better, yeah. So, but I think maybe the way it was all supposed to kind of like gel together could have been touched up better. You know what I'm saying? Like, again, I think it would have all benefited from you know, maybe you do a countdown to you know, Dark Crisis, just like you had Infinite Frontier and Justice League Incarnate. Maybe with the other books, you really start to rev up. Okay, cool. If this is what we're going to be doing for the line, if this is what the line is going to be leading to, okay, we need to start working in unison to let's have us build to that, instead of just throwing a crisis in front of us without any build-up. So if you're going to do the build-up, all right, cool. Start Jace Fox and Batman, but no, at some point, Ridley, okay, by issue 6 or 7, okay, bro, you got to start pushing Jace towards Dark Crisis. Okay, Tom Taylor, you're doing whatever you're doing with John, cool. But no, by issue whatever, you need to start gearing towards Dark Crisis. And then if that was done, and, you know, obviously the writing quality could have, you know, helped as well. I think if that was done, I think we would have kind of had that, you know, maybe Dark Reign feeling, you know, because it's like the whole line working in unison. And then once we get to Dark Crisis, that's how you catch the readers, because that's how you caught me with Infinite Crisis. Because even though I wasn't there at the time, but with all the buildup, I felt it, like all these tie-ins and all this. But I'm like, God damn, bro, I'm hype. I feel it. Dark Crisis, you didn't do that. All you just did was, hey, legacy characters. Okay, you want a bisexual? We got you. You want a black man as a Batman? We got you. You want this? We got you. Great, that's cool.
That first issue did the job. The first issue when they first fought and they first, like, John was trying to recruit everybody, that was cool. We should have stuck on him recruiting for more than the issue. For more than the issue, bro. Like, we should have saw John struggle, because, like, you know, most times when Superman say something, everybody move. John should have dealt with the fact that, hey, the Batman didn't want to fuck with me. Wonder Woman kind of brushed it off. Like, that should have been addressed. But because they're so gun ho on trying to put John in the same stratosphere as Clark, they sped rush it. And I'm like, bro, like you could have had all your impactful moments organically. And like you said, like you touched on it, by issue 6, we should have been issue 5. We should have been gearing towards things. But Jace Fox's pacing is all. I mean, I Am Batman's pacing has been ass since the first 2 Future State books run. Like, it's just been all over the place. Like, it's there, but the focus isn't there, so to say. Like,
exactly.
We'll stay on one part and then we'll dip. Like, I used to butt heads with Clark on the timeline all the time, because it's like, bro, like, I get it. Push your agenda. I love it. You know what I mean? I love it. But at the same time, you gotta be realistic with yourself. Like, if you want this character to be around, you want people to buy the book, then you gotta understand where the weakness is. Like I go to Chips from a Batman. I love it. There's nothing really I can say wrong about it. I don't like how they're using Batman's Zimbra. I said the name all fucked up, but you know what I mean. And like, I thought the whole taking over Gotham things, god damn, we just did this again. Like, that's the only two gripes I got. And I didn't really like Failsafe being an android, because I was like, damn, the first issue, I was like, damn, that punch should have took Bruce jaw off, bro. Like, what the hell? Like, but then they cleaned it up. The last issue talking about, you know, he's programmed not to kill, he's just tortures, and, you know, that kind of thing. I'm like, all right, well, make that shit make sense then, Chip. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, shit, he answered my question. I was like, I ain't gonna lie, like, Failsafe should have killed everybody in the room. But as you said, cohesion, bro. Like, that's like, everybody's like, we have a saying with our universe, what we call hive mind, where, like, we both might start off with 2 different ideals, and by the time we get to done arguing and talking each other down, we've landed on something that, like, that works. That
exactly
actually works. Or we realize, you know what? Let's table this for a second and come back to it. Maybe we, you know, put some more eyes on it. We'll get a better ideal. And I mean, that's pretty much where it is. But I mean, DC's put themselves in such a fucking bind that it's really, really hard. So, like, all they can really do to kind of keep their relevancy low key is to, you know, do the antics they've been doing.
And I think,
to some degree,
and I mean to cut you off, but again, it's damn, I had something great here, but I fucking lost it. But yeah, you mentioned something great. You know, maybe tabling some ideas, and I think the problem here is that Joshua Williamson has, you know, like, hindsight. And Tevia, don't worry, I see your questions. I see you. Don't worry, I haven't forgotten about you. But I think a lot of it is kind of just like hindsight, just like, I want to tell the story, I want to do this thing, so fuck everything else. This is going to happen. I think what really would have helped is, once DC, they should have just looked at what the reception was like for these legacy characters, you know, and, you know, everything that's happening with the Justice League. And I think maybe they should have held off on this event and maybe focused more on, you know, like, okay, how do we catch people again? So maybe just should have been like, all right, you know, Ridley, okay, bro, we got to do something different. Or maybe even it was just a matter of, okay, let's cancel these legacy books and maybe we put these characters together in one book and let's try to catch them there. You know what I'm saying? Let's try to build the trust there. and then maybe so. Let's take it to the Justice League now. Okay, Bendis. All right, bro. You had people, but then you lost people. Do we need to take somebody off this book so we can kind of try to catch the readership back? Okay, all right, cool. Let's do that. Let's course correct. But I think the problem was just like, okay, we're gonna do Dark Crisis, and we're gonna try to push all these legacy characters. We don't care what everybody's thinking. We're just gonna put this out, and we're gonna see how it does because we know Crisis sells. We know new characters sell, and let's focus on that. And I get it. At the end of the day, you're a business. You're going to do what you need to do to make sure these books sell. But looking at it strictly from a business standpoint and not from a readership standpoint and how the reception is, it's also a bad thing too. Like that you kneecap yourself. I love using this word, kneecapping. You kneecap yourself by doing that. And I think maybe everybody should have just taken a step back. Let's think about this. Then, we can try to put something else out there.
But see, that makes too much sense, and it would require them to react accordingly when they saw that, hey, the readership isn't necessarily responding to these characters the way that we hoped for. So maybe let's try to tailor our event a little more, try to insert some things that we know are going to get people going.
Mm-hmm.
But no, they just decided to stay the course with a lot of these characters, which, hey, you all have an idea, you believe in the idea. So yeah, you're sticking with it. All right, I got to commend that. It shows you're at least committed to something, but at the same time, what the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. If you've already seen that people are not taking to these characters when you try to put them in the spotlight, hey, maybe let's not build an event around doing that exact thing. So I don't know, guys. Yeah, the saying that this is a Nightwing event, that's I definitely agree with that. Hey, maybe focus more on him or focus on more members of his generation. Let the Titans be more of a focus as opposed to a couple of splash panels every other issue.
That for me is the focus of goddamn Titans. They don't know what to do with them either. I think that's not to cut you off either, but that's really DC's thing, bro. Like they go around their elbow to get to their ass on so many things, bro. Like the Justice Society should always have a book, bro. The Legion should always have a book. Teen Titans should always have a book. The Titans should always have a book. Like it's just period. Like the Justice League, the same thing for Avengers too. On the backside on Marvel too, they should be B-list heroes, bro. Like I mean, it should be the Justice League should maybe have a couple A-tier heroes, but the rest should be like. No offense to Green Arrow, but like Green Arrow's A-tier hero now. But at this point, he's an A-class hero. But like, it should be him leading. You know what I'm saying? Like, it should be or him and Black Canary. It should have like the whole focus of that should have been them and their lead. Like,
and that's the thing. But that's the aggravation, right? Because that did happen, but it wasn't executed well. That's the problem. That's the issue here. It's like. You'll do things, but you'll do it half-heartedly. Like, I agree with what you're saying. The Titans should have promise. The Teen Titans, I can argue a little bit because I think the Teen Titan cast has grown out of Teen Titans. So now the problem with that is, okay, who do you put into that spot? Because Teen Titans, even from outside of a comic book standpoint, people have a general idea of who they are, but those characters have grown out of that. Damian has grown out of the Teen Titans role. Wallace has been doing a lot of great work with Wally. I think he's grown out of it.
I can give you 7 teams that'll make a great Teen Titan.
Okay, so then we throw that in, right? And then the problem is the books are out. You have the Titans, you have the Justice League, you have Teen Titans, but it's not well done. You can throw all these things out there, but the execution has to work. Because it's almost like the saying was like, I don't mean to go back to this argument on Twitter, but it's just like okay, oh, this person doesn't have a book, this person doesn't have a book, DC is this, DC is that. My argument will always be this, bro. You're better off not having a book in this current age of DC than having a book out that's ass.
Yeah,
Always.
one way to look at it.
That's
Sure.
always my standpoint, right? So I'll be honest with you. I'm happy there's not a Justice League book, because the last couple years of Justice League have been ass. I will give Scott Snyder credit, even though I don't like that run. I'm gonna give him credit because that's the last time the book was anything.
It was just too big.
It's too big. Titans, Teen Titans Academy was ass. You know, that was Teen Titans and Titans mixed. It was ass. You know,
really
so
really had people in the timeline defending it too, and I was like, man, I'm looking at Beast Boy and Cyborg combined right now, bro.
It's like you can always throw these things out there, but the execution has to work. Execution is important. Yes, I know, bro. You put out a Justice League book, it's going to sell regardless. I get it. But what about the quality? Quality, man. That's the thing. And let me I think we all have great answers for some of the things that Tavia has put out there. So kind of want to circle back. So first question is what is even the point of Dark Crisis anyways, and will it affect anything in the long run or mean anything? So I can answer this one first, and then I'll let you guys circle back around. So Williamson is saying that Dark Crisis is not going to lead to any reboots. You know, he's just telling a story essentially. But I get that. I understand that, because you know, I think we did come off of an anti-crisis, which is death metal, and you know that implemented some quote unquote big changes. So I get it from that point of view. I get the whole celebration of legacy heroes and history. I get it from that point of view. But historically, whenever you have a crisis, there's always supposed to be a big major change. Something crazy is supposed to happen. These characters are supposed to end up in drastically different places. So whenever that eventual quote unquote reboot or relaunch happens, everybody starts fresh with the number one. Whoever wants to answer next, go ahead.
Well, let me start with what's the point of Dark Crisis. The point of Dark Crisis was to buy them, I think anyway, to buy themselves time after they fired Dan because of his 5G plans, but they didn't have time to come up with anything. You can't come up with something on the fly with a lot of this stuff and expect it to stick long term. I think a lot of New 52 stuff was on the fly, and like I said, I liked most of it, but I think the company got scared of some of the response after, those first 6 to 8 months or whatever. So they said, hey, let's not come up with something by the seat of our pants again. So they incorporated a lot of 5G leftovers into I'm not going to say just mid-tier writing. They took what ideas they thought may have worked and kind of jerry-rigged them into something something resembling a story like the Batman versus Robin right now, where Damien's possessed. But one of the big things that was supposed to come out of 5G was Damien was supposed to be your big villain. So I think that's an idea that they've repurposed and placed somewhere else in their line. So the purpose, in my opinion, for Dark Crisis was for them to just not have to get rid of these ideas completely and just to use them until, hey, we come up with what our next direction of our universe is going to be. At least that's my opinion. Do I think any of this will matter? No, not at all. I think you'll probably get a few references to what all has happened in Dark Crisis in the first few months of next year. But I think by the time we get to, let's say, March of 2023, all of this is going to be completely in the rear view, completely forgotten. It won't be talked about again. Like I said, I don't think these writers are ever going to revisit the time period where the Justice League is supposed to be missing. I don't think we're ever going to get stories out of that. I don't think there's going to be some big status quo change to your universe that comes out of issue 6. We'll see. Issue 7. But I mean, it is what it is at this point. DC, they're just seeing this event through. But yeah, I don't think it's gonna matter. And like I said, by March we'll be on to the next thing.
But you quit.
Me, my bad. I was getting something to drink. Nah, but I don't think it's gonna be anything revolutionary coming out of it. To be honest, I think I have this strong inkling that the Damian being aged up thing's gonna be kept. So I think they want to keep that Damian John synergy that everybody's kind of demanding, especially coming off the movie. I think that's something we're definitely going to.
Hold on, we lost you, brother. Hold on, let's give him a second. Maybe we'll just like reconnect.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. While he's getting connection back, I guess I can answer the question. Yeah, I want to even piggyback off of. I think some things will be mentioned. I do think the Justice League will be affected, and if we do get a Justice League book, I don't think we're gonna get one anytime soon after this because Williamson is very keen on the Justice League quote unquote being gone. I think. Hold on, he's back. Yeah. I think we may get some inklings of certain things referencing it, but again, this feels very. It feels so flat to the point where it's just like, what is there to pull from this? You see what I'm saying? The Justice League is not dead. We know that. And it seems like everybody here is fine. I think the most thing we'll have is maybe Nightwing just getting some powers and he just gets elevated. Maybe Nightwing is the leader of the Justice League after this. Maybe that's it. I think, and maybe he is some celestial being, which is very weird because it's a jump from a street level character who just got his fucking wig blown off a couple years ago. But that's neither here or there. I think that's about it. I don't know, man. We gotta see because like the way everything is happening in Dark Crisis is just so half baked and rushed. What would you want to pull from it? You know what I'm saying? What would you want to pull? But yeah, Quentin, if you're back, man, yeah, we'd love to hear your thoughts. What do you think about what the point of Dark Crisis is and if it'll affect anything? What do you think?
Yeah, my bad. I got a phone call. Man, nothing's really gonna change. Playing in that time frame. One I was about to ask, did they ever specify how long the Justice League has been gone during Dark Crisis? I can't recall.
No, but if I'm not mistaken, AJ, correct me if I'm wrong. When we got the news about Justice League 75, we knew it was a time jump. So I think it was a couple months time jump, not a year. So just a couple months.
Like going back to that, what stories can you really tell in a month's time frame, line wise, line wise? So like, I doubt they'll do anything with that. I think Yara will still be around. I think if they're smart, I think if I had to distill the entire initiative coming out of this, the Justice Society, Justice League, Teen Titans, however you want to like lay it out, should all have a different, fresh take on there, right? Like this is really about legacy. You would have saw some of those, you know, Sideways and Tombstone or Brimstone. You would have saw more of those guys' presence as well. So I think it'll go back to reestablishing, your faves like Donna Troy, Roy, Leanne. Like I think I need the Leanne story. That's still supposed to be playing out in the background. Like
Oh
there's some things from
yeah.
there's some things from Infinite Frontier that needs to be addressed. To be honest, like I think coming out of this, you'll get some kind of Green Arrow book. I think you'll be happy about that. I think
Oh yes.
it's been too long for him not to have a book and or a Black or a Green Arrow and Black Canary book. But I think we need some Arrow family presence, especially with Leanne being back, her being more connected to Catwoman now. Um, you know, like got to address those kind of things. Jace, I'm not really sure, bro. Like I think eventually, when is him and Bruce gonna meet? When are they gonna meet? Like when are they gonna have the talk? Like we kind of had it in in Gotham and Future State, but in present day, him coming back from the dead, quote unquote. When is he gonna meet this guy that's been running around? Like Bruce has not addressed that at all. And if what's going on with Failsafe is a little bit in the future, we still haven't gotten mention of Jason or him even
Yeah.
monologuing about it, or Ghostmaker making a passive comment about it to his team, like what I'm saying, or Batman Inc. addressing it. Like they fumbled with Jace. I think Yara with the uniting of all the tribes will still be prevalent. Uh, I think Cassie's gonna take the hit on that though. I think, man, I don't know, bro. Like I'm really playing it loose. I think that seventh issue was added so Jeff Johns gonna have a little more presence in the ending. I think the ending is definitely gonna tie into whatever they're gonna do with Golden. I mean, with the Golden Age for sure. I think that I'm almost confident that seventh issue was added to tie in with Golden Age. Because that's the only thing that makes
Mm.
sense. It's the only thing that makes sense at this point. You've done multiverse, right? You kind
Mhm.
of address the future. The present is being addressed with the main title. You might as well do Golden Age. They're pushing it, right? They're really pushing. They're pushing this Golden Age shit, right? And like it's so much that DC has to like bridge, like the Wildcats, like the Wildstorm characters haven't really got a really proper introduction yet. Like
Oh
I
shit.
haven't I hadn't even opened up Wildcats yet. I'm gonna probably read it when I get out this call. But they have so much to need to line up. I don't know who's gonna get the axe, you know, but I think they should revisit the structure of what they did with New 52. That's the only way you're gonna properly implement legacy. If that's your big push, legacy, that means some of you like, and I think you said it about, it's sometimes you don't need, somebody having a solo series. Why not group some of them up? You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
Teen Titans, like you said, Damon's outgrown it. You got Sideways there. You got the twins from Barry. You got Barry's twins. There's a lot of Teen Titan, like you, Blue Beetle. He probably still
Yeah.
a lot of it too. Uh, Doctor Fate. He'll probably be in the Justice League. Khalid will probably be in the Justice League. He is in the Golden Age book, but like there's so many other you know, characters and properties that they can really implement, like Wildstorm characters. Like, there's things they can really, if they took their time, hopefully, like you said, 5G, this whole event was to buy them time. I totally agree with that. Right? It was totally to buy them time and not to waste the money they spent. I mean, it's clear as day. Right? Some of the art they had drawn up, they had to use it. They had to repurpose it somehow. So a rebalancing the shuffle, like a reshuffling of everything is definitely happening. But I don't know, man. Like I think it's gonna be a lot more of the same. Like a lot of Batman. Those Superman is in a safe spot. Like Superman is probably I don't know, like because Superman looks really good going in the future. Like Superman line
Yeah.
looks really safe. Batman looks safe. It depends on who you put on Justice League, and I think Mark Wade's gonna get it.
Mm.
I think Wade's gonna get. I think Wade is about because for a long time Dan and Wade didn't see eye to eye from what I hear, so that's why he wasn't
Yeah.
doing work for DC. And like just his couple issues on World's Finest and Batman versus Robin, his impact has been felt like much more than Bendis has been made. Like that Bendis was cool when he came over, but when Mark Wade came back, like it brought some juice back into it. Like
Yeah.
and, and I think the more time, like if they let him be the showrunner now, because like the chief was Josh Williamson, and we got his story out. He did what he had to do, but like it's time for Josh to like kind of reel his storytelling in. So I think that's
Yeah.
what happened with Scott Snyder. Like Death Metal was cool, and then everybody fell in love with Batman Who Laughs. So like we had like 3 years of that shit. And I think Scott Snyder is much better when his stories are more intimate. Just sort of like Tom
Yes.
King. Like you go back to his Swamp Thing run when it crossed over with Lemur. Like like that was a great run with him and Animal Man. You know what I mean? Like it was creepy, it was paced well, and like out of the new 52, I hate to go back to it because I think that gets a lot of slander that it doesn't deserve. But there's titles like that. I think we need to like kind of like close our scope up some. Like I said it earlier, just focus on telling. You got all these Amazon characters, right? You got all these new Amazon characters. Let's just focus on that. I think the Wonder Woman team, actually, I think Wonder Woman is one of the best titles as well. It, like we don't talk about it a lot, but like what they're doing on Wonder Woman has been fun from the very first issue to everything with Doctor Psycho. Like it's been their own kind of way of doing it with like talking like having Doctor Psycho be an incel. Like it was kind of genius. Like you know what I mean? Like it was a slick way of reintroducing the world to a bullshit character that gained popularity on a hit show. And I like that. You know what I mean? Like I think Red Hood needs a book coming out of this. You know what I mean? Like Artemis, everything with Artemis. You know what I mean? Like they have a lot of potential, bro. Like I it's just about not being pigeonholed to sales because I feel like numbers lie a lot, bro. Like I have a buddy who loves sending me manga, and showing like sales and how they dwarf Batman and all of this, and I'm like, bro, like, but who cares? It's not
Yeah.
that little number that you're showing. Yes, that's a big thing because we've taken a hit because the quality is dipped. But at the same time, like One Piece isn't outselling Batman like that, bro. Like especially if you key in games and everything that goes around with that property, bro. Like One Piece isn't touching it, bro. Like so, yeah, everybody downloaded his books on the first day. That's cool, whatever. But it's just about finding balance with the line, bro. Using what you got, bro. Like I think I was talking to Pilot on the timeline about what's he looks like Doctor Strange, but he was introduced in the Pride Day book.
Fuck.
Yeah, the werewolf husband. Like that's a great series right there, bro. And that's like your answer to not giving us all these John Constantine stories or Zatanna. And even though I love those, but it's a different character that you naturally get the hype for it because he's always been a gay man. And then you clean up that bullshit origin about him having AIDS from the 70s. You clean it
Wait,
up.
what?
You know what I mean? Like yeah, like that's how he got his powers. It's like something with age, bro. And I think Pilot was telling me about it, and I was like, okay, you gotta
What?
fix that. You gotta fix that. You know what I'm saying for the modern day, so no, it doesn't offend everybody. But after that, the ideal of this gay couple that like one husband is one partner is a werewolf and one's a sorcerer. That's a dope story, bro. Like you can make
Yeah.
that work. Have them cross over with Midnighter and Apollo. You can naturally get all your inclusion without reaching. And I think if DC learned anything coming out of what they've done for the last 3 years, I mean, coming up from the last 2 years of the pandemic, stop reaching. I think that's the only thing. Tell organic story. Like, go back to a Mega Man, the Omega Man run. Remember, it got canceled because it wasn't selling good, but like everybody demanded to come back, and they were forced to put it back out. Those kind of titles need to have their day, but not like the Green Team. Like the Green Team was stupid. You know what I'm saying? Like nobody wants to read that. You know what I mean? Like that was a waste of money. You could have put that and gave us another Green Arrow book or something like that.
Yeah.
Something. Like I look at the Green Arrow team. I'm like, they really have fumbled Green Arrow, and like especially those last couple seasons of the Arrow series, bro. Like Diggle should have a bigger presence. Like it's so much potential with certain things that they just avoid, and that's probably my biggest gripe as a fan. That there's all these toys, and y'all just Batman,
Yeah.
Clark, John, Damien. Like that's the one thing why the last animated movies were kind of bad because you took some great stories like Court of Owls and you try to make a bad bitch badder and you fumbled it. You gave somebody a bad BBL on some of these things, bro. Like
Yeah.
like real talk. Like I was just looking at some of the stories and I'm like, bro, like God damn it. Like the only one that was really done well was Flashpoint. That was the only one that actually hit like the way it was point for point. They changed little things for animation purposes, but for the most part, it was Flashpoint. And I felt like Some of those, I think that's DC's biggest thing, bro. Like they just get away from what they do well. And I think if we just focus in on our issues, I mean, they focus on what they do well, going further, they'll be all right.
Yeah,
I got confidence in what they do.
I agree. It's just, put the toys back on the table, because a lot of toys have been left there. Yeah, put the toys back on the table, man. Like
Like
people want their
sideways,
sweat.
bro. Like I always bring up sideways. I hate to cut you off, but like, why
Yeah,
the fuck doesn't he have a series, bro? Like you have Peter Parker here, you got Tom Holland, you got this whole market that you refuse to tap into, and you don't even use Blue Beetle, who was originally made to be your Peter Parker character.
bruh.
You don't even use him like that. So why not put Sideways as the leader, or you put Duke on the team. He's not technically a Robin, but fuck it, put Duke on Teen Titans, and then he starts the new Teen Titans. You know what I'm saying? Or something like that. Throw us a different curveball. You know what I mean? Like
It's
I
too
think that's what
predictable.
people want
It's
now,
too
because
it's
shit,
too
they done
predictable.
everything else.
It's too predictable, man. And like, with the readership is, they starting to put readership been peep game, and they starting to see the reception now, and I hope they pay attention, bro. Like, to circle back to the question, like, if it'll affect anything, what I want it to affect is, I want upstairs to realize, hey, bro, we need to change our approach. I think that's what it should always boil down to. Like, I get it, for the line, cool. Put more shit back on the table. Make sure the quality is great, but I need upstairs to get the point. That's what they need to do, and I think that's when you can catch everybody again, because it's. I feel like this ain't the first time DC's been in a slump. But I also realize at the same time, I've also lived through certain eras of DC where just like, okay, I'm starting to see the energy come back. And I think if they put the things back on the table and really focus on cohesion and really focus on putting some good creative teams back on, these books, I think will be great, man. I really think will be great. And it was another question too. This is important. Tevin asks a very important question here. How does Dark Crisis connect to Batman versus Robin and Lazarus Planet? So this goes back to the Omniverse thing, right? Because DC has pigeonholed themselves into this whole Omniverse, everything happens. That's great and all. I understand that, but at the same time, DC needs to learn how to properly plan things, because again, you had Dark Crisis and Flashpoint Beyond running concurrently. That sends a mixed message. Jeff Johns is arguably a bigger talent, and this book when you put Flashpoint on a book, you already know you're going to catch people. So you're battling Dark Crisis and Jeff Johns, two very well-known writers, maybe one arguably more popular than the next. Then you have Dark Crisis that's still running, and now you have Joshua Williamson running up against Mark Waid. And to my understanding, there's no linking between the two. Again, mixed messaging. So what I think is going to happen with Dark Crisis and Batman versus Robin and Lazarus Planet, I don't think they're gonna talk about it. I don't think Dark Crisis is gonna talk about it. Maybe further down the line with Batman and Superman, it may be referenced. And then same thing with Lazarus Planet. But right now it's just the whole, we're just running these concurrently. And if we want to address them connecting, we will. If we don't, we don't. What about you guys? AJ, how about you go first? What do you think?
If Dark Crisis isn't going to connect to either of those books, but the Williamson property that has already connected to it, even though it's ended now, is going to be Robin. We see with the tournament on Lazarus Island, Raising, that book ended with him finding the tomb of what's the big bad in Batman World's Finest and Batman vs. Robin right now. The devil Nezha, the demon Nezha, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
That's where the stuff is going to connect more than anything. I can see it connecting in some other places with like Task Force Z, with the Lazarus resin being sprinkled around the DC universe and a couple of other books. I think it might have even shown up in what was that, Urban Legends at one point. So I think there are some connective tissues being drawn here and there. I don't think this is going to have anything to do with Dark Crisis, whether that's because of, this plan came up afterwards, whether or not Williamson or Wade, either one of them just didn't want this intersecting with what they were doing already. I don't know, but I would look for other books to connect to Dark Crisis and Batman versus Robin before I would look to Dark Crisis. No, I would look for other books to connect to Batman versus Robin and Lazarus Planet before I look to Dark Crisis to connect to it.
Yeah, and yeah, that's great. No, great answer. What about you, Quentin?
Yeah. I know. I think it'll have a presence. Well, I don't know. It depends, bro. Like, I don't. I'm probably leaning towards it's not gonna have any impact because it's set in the future. So it's gonna be set farther than the time well, I don't know. That's what I'm saying. Like, I'm so confused on where we're gonna land at. To be honest, they might just like blah blah over it. You know what I'm saying? Like, just don't address it. Like, it just happened. Maybe Nightwing, maybe a Titan Academy type of thing. Mm, John's book should should kind of like address it. I don't know, bro. I think something's gonna happen. Some kind of MacGuffin's gonna happen towards the last couple pages, and we're gonna start off fresh again. Maybe not like a reboot of sort, but like nobody remembers it type of thing. You know what I mean? Like that kind of thing. So
Yeah, I think Lazarus Planet is supposed to tie into what's happening with the new John Kemp book that's coming out. And then that's gonna pick. So I think Batman and Robin is gonna happen. Then Lazarus Planet is going to spin out of that, and then Adventures of John Kent is gonna lead into that as well. But I don't know about. Yeah,
I
I
think all the
yeah,
Shadow War stuff will have way more of an impact on the line
yeah.
as a whole than Dark Crisis because I think the focus, like, cause to be honest, like everything with Batman and Robin has just been better. Like even if you don't really like it, like it's been the superior read. Like every
Oh,
issue's been pretty good,
definitely.
bro. Like so, um, and then even from the promo images, bro, like it's not. You saw Yara in there. I didn't see. I didn't see. Not. I think Jace was in one, but like
I don't think
I
that was
don't
Jace,
think.
bro. I think that was just Bruce.
Okay. So like yeah,
Yeah.
so I don't. I think Yara out of all. I think out of anything come out of Infinite Frontier right now, Yara's probably gonna like be most around because she was kind of already, you know what I'm saying, rolled out. You know what I'm saying, like in the universe at large, she is Wonder Girl now. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
Diana already gave her the nod. That's the one. I guess like going back to what you said earlier about my issue such and such. You know what I'm saying? Like Wonder Woman, the Trials of the Amazons, all that address Yara being cemented in the DC universe way
Hmm.
better than anything Joker wore or the whatever the shit with the cops or the magistrate, like any of that with Jace,
Oh
like
yeah.
all that was seamless, bro. Like in John. So I think John's gonna be around, obviously from the promotional issues. Promotional art. But I don't think a lot of this is going to carry weight. I think we're going to go back to some of the old things coming out of death metal. I think you're going to see some more stuff coming out of like uh, the new Age of Heroes. I think this Golden Age thing. I think Dark Crisis. They may have a couple series dedicated to dealing with it of some sort. But I think like because John Ridley, you can tell like he doesn't want to deal with. He just wants to tell his story. He doesn't really want to deal with you know what I'm saying? And I'm like, and my
Yeah.
thing is, you're giving this guy so much bandwidth, bro. And I'm like, he hasn't been hitting on none of his titles, bro. Like none of
Yo,
them.
I don't mean to sidetrack, but I'm gonna be honest with y'all. Hey, the issue of Iron Batman that came out last week, well, excuse me, 2 days ago, I ranked that tie-in and the Flash tie-in as two of the best tie-ins to come out of Dark Crisis. John Ridley may not want to be bothered with that shit, but my God, did he write a good tie-in?
It was
I
good. It
think
was good. I can't hate on it.
he when he really wants to, he can try. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think this is the best, he's been written, and I appreciate the fake out, like, because folk were, I won't say folk, but certain people were tripping out over the last couple panels of the last issue, and then it bled in over to this recent issue, and you would think, yo, but did this dude just really wild out? But no, I think it was pretty cool, man. I ain't gonna lie to you. I ain't gonna lie
I'll say
to you.
this. This is the last thing I'm gonna say on John Ridley. If he makes Tiffany Fox anything other than Robin, I'm done with him. I'm absolutely done. And I know some people are like anti her becoming Robin, but I'm like, bro, we got a black Batman. Why not
Might as
give us
well.
a black female? We give a black female one a Robin. We're gonna do Stephanie Brown's arc better and do it right the first time. And she's gonna be African American. And it's like out of everybody that's written, Tiff is probably the most consistent with who she's always been. And I'm like, think about how many toys you're going to sell. Like I have a daughter now, so I'm real. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm gonna be
Mhm.
kind of, I'm gonna kind of be on the soapbox on this one. Like, bro, you know what I mean? Toys I'm gonna buy that for my daughter just to have whenever she
Yeah.
realizes what the hell it is. Like you making her anything else, or you trying to be too deep with whatever you choose to make her. That's why I argue with like it's the writing's been on the wall with her becoming Robin. If you fake us out on this thing, then it's like you thought about it too hard, bro. Like you missed because you like it's like you ever play dominoes, and somebody says like you study too long, you play wrong.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? Same thing, bro. Like you just if he doesn't do that, I'll know everything I need to know about John Ridley. Bro. Man, that's how I feel. Honest to God, like I was even one of his biggest supporters on Black Panther, and it's like I don't know, bro. Like it's like he has a brand or he has an image of who he is as
Yeah.
a director and as a writer, and his subject of topic, right, that he chooses to write about. It's like he
Mhm.
stays on that. I'm like, bro, this is not 12-year slave, dog. This is a
Bro.
24, 25-year-old rich black kid who happened to kill somebody and became and got trained to become a merc, bro. But he now what should have been the focus was this is a Batman who killed somebody because his guilt on that, and because he knows right from wrong, he doesn't like the fact that because he was wealthy, you know what I mean? I got away
Mhm.
with it. So
Oh, you spit. What happened, bro? Damn.
He was on it with that one.
He was spitting. Oh, bro.
bruh. Hello, am I back?
Oh, go
Yeah, you
ahead, bro.
back.
You was spitting. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, man. Like the focus should have been. I hate this goddamn phone, bro. Like that should have been the focus of his entire story arc, bro. But it was all this privilege, this, and the third. I'm mad at my dad, beefing with Luke. It was a bunch of stupid shit that they focused on. I'm like, bro, you should have gave me 6 issues of him training with Katana, and I'd have been fucking happy, bro. Like real shit, bro. Like it's like so he overthought Jace Fox so much. That's why I was like, you should just made it Luke. Should just did Luke. You just
Yeah,
made
might
Luke
as.
Batman. And just did Luke instead of trying to be different and introduce this obscure character that there's a reason why nobody used them. You know what I mean? Like, and like I said, I love Jace, bro. I love what he means, but he won't become the character he needs to be until he's not Batman, bro. And that's just what that is. Until
Mhm.
that is. And I know a lot of people don't want that, but he has to have his own mantle, dog. Like he has to become something other than Batman, bro. For him to really be the character I want to read, to like, 'cause like everything about his run except John Ridley is great. Renee being commissioner, the mantle of the question being passed on. You know what I mean? Vol, like there's like the Katana connection. It's so much there, bro. But he chooses to focus on his beef with his dad, them having Bruce Wayne's money now. Oh my fucking god, bro. Uh,
I
but
think we don't have to stay here on this John Williams, but I think
yeah,
a lot of it is it's like I think the first I think what is it? The Future State Batman series was a mixed bag for me. I see what he was trying to do, but all those books were kind of on a time crunch. But I think the series that spun out of that, I think Second Son, I like the dynamics. I like the issues
yep,
with Luke. I like the issues with his dad. And then I think I Am Batman started off very strong, but I think really kind of got into his own way. I just like, all right, bro. Like I really thought we were seeing a superhero come into himself. I really thought we were seeing I really thought we were seeing, us really grooming a character into, building his own rogues, defining his city, marking his stamp. But Ridley being Ridley, it's I want to focus on race and XYZ, which is not a bad thing. But it becomes a bad thing when that's like the only thing you're preaching. You know what I'm saying? So you hinder the character at that point. Because I think the first couple issues, even right when we got up to New York, was great. A little bit after we got to New York, and when we seen how he just threw away Jace's first rogue, I was like, bro, no. You had it right there. Like, people were starting to say, oh, shoot, this dude got his own Joker. Okay, all right, we're starting to build his own rogue gallery, because the criticisms of people who didn't read the book was like, oh, he's just piggybacking off of what Batman did. He's only using Batman's rogues. No, he was starting to build up something of his own, but I really don't think Ridley had. It shows me I really didn't really have a plan beyond these couple issues, and it's starting to show. So, but I don't know. The book is still around. Like, let's just be honest, guys. I Am Batman is the only post Future State Legacy book that will be around now after Son of Kal-El.
Crisis. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's
Yeah.
It'll be around as long as Ridley sticks around.
He's a big name.
I'm starting to wonder is if he getting back to chasing TV and film money.
We had that speculation. We had that. I remember.
It feels like I'm a few issues behind on I Am Batman because it got to the point where I just had to put that book down. It was getting bad. So I'm wondering, is he getting ready to get out of there sometime soon? I would like if the book could return to being consistently good, but yeah, Ridley took a turn when he killed that first villain, because that was around the time when I was really starting to actually enjoy the book. I completely turned on it. Then it took me a while with Second Son, and it took me a while with this one, but I was like, okay, I'm in. And then he threw away everything good he was doing at like the drop of a dime. I could not understand it. So
wait, hold on. We got hold on. Blackwing is in the chat. Blackwing, if you want to get on this call, bro, let me say it in the chat and I will send you this link. I say it in the chat, I'll send you the link. Because I'm assuming you're free now.
I gotta get off for a second, get the wife some food. But if y'all still on when I get back, I'll hop back on.
All right, no worries, no worries.
Great talk, y'all. I mean,
of course.
Great talk. Nice meeting everybody.
Of course, yeah, finally.
Yeah, you too, man. Absolutely.
We gotta do some more often.
You know what's funny? Sidebar. You know that comic you sent me when I won the little contest you did for YouTube?
Yeah.
Why did I never get it? Because I was beefing with my mail lady, bro.
Bro,
I was
bro.
Yo, like I was like missing packages, and I was like, damn, I never got the book. And I was like, maybe he just said fuck it. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, I ended up talking to her. I had ordered some shoes, and then shits never came. And I was like, bro, where are my shoes at? And she's like, your name's not such and such. And I was like, bro, we're both on this lease, my dude. Like, hey, what's going on? So I think that's what happened, bro. Like, I never got it. It was funny. I was supposed to tell you that.
Bro, yo, I forget. I'll go through the chat log, and if I could find it, because I think I sent you the punchline with the punchline first appearance, and I only had like two of those. Oh, okay, all right, bro.
It was just a funny story, dog. It was just a funny story about me beefing with the mail lady. I'm gonna go. Good. Great convo. I'm gone, y'all. Bye.
All right, bro, man. It's good to see you, man.
Catch you later.
If you're still around, then yeah, feel free to pop in.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So like we got chat popping now. All right, cool. But yeah, what were we on? Yeah, I think maybe there's potential for John Ridley to turn things around, man. Maybe there's potential, but I'm not holding my breath. But I'm still gonna support the book. I thought the last issue was great. I thought it was a great tie-in. My only issue with that was like, I read this tie-in, then I read Dark Crisis issue number 6. But when I read Dark Crisis number 6, all of a sudden, Jace is back. He's up with Mr. Terrific, and he's like, "Oh,
Yo, that
my
shit was
dad."
so random, dog.
Awesome.
I hadn't read like I said, I hadn't read his book in a while, so I'm not sure if something happens there that makes it make sense. But he come in on the motorcycle. I'm like, what?
Yo.
That shit was so
No, but,
random,
bro. Him coming in a motorcycle was fine, but him just like spitting all this facts to Mr. Terrific, and then ultimately being the one that's helping defeat Pariah. I was just like, yo, I feel like I'm missing the issue, bro. Like, what's going on? It was so out of left field. Like, it didn't make no fucking sense to me. But yeah, we got a couple more questions here. This is a polarizing one. All right, Tevia, get ready, because me and AJ ain't gonna hold back. This is very polarizing. Are you ready, brother?
Yeah. What is
it? Okay. Why can't Dark Crisis give us real-time Tim Drake Robin and stop being treated like garbage? Okay, so the reason why I'm saying this is a very polarizing question is because this is more of an editorial question, right? So we've seen everything that's been happening with Tim Drake, and I'm going to try to watch my words here because I get it. This is a very touchy topic. We are in 2022, bruh. I'm trying to tread softly. So the stuff that's happening with Tim Drake is, rooted in editorial decisions. And right now, from what I'm gathering, is that the reviews for that book haven't been great. So if you aren't liking what Tim Drake has been going through as of late, at this point, you have to wait until the book runs its course. My hypothesis is that this may suffer the similar fate as Aquaman, because Aquaman didn't even last damn near a trade before it got the axe.
They changed that to a limited series so fucking quick. I was like, oh my god.
So at this point, I don't think Dark Crisis is gonna retcon or do anything for that character, at least on the editorial level. I don't think it's gonna like really shake him up because the book is already started. I'm sure they've already hired who they want to hire, but now it's just a matter of sales. Like, I'll always say this, whether a book is doing good or bad. If you do not want to support a book, then don't support the book. Don't show up to the comic book shop and bro, just let it be there. And if enough people do not support this book, which I'm gathering is the case, then the book won't last long. But I don't think Dark Crisis is gonna do anything to get Megan Fitzgerald out of here. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's
she's gonna do that herself.
Yeah, she has to do that herself. So that's the best answer I can give you. Dark Crisis will not affect it. Will we see some Tim stuff in Dark Crisis? I'm sure. I don't think he's even had much of a presence in the book. But yeah, that's more of a Megan Fitzmartin and whoever else is on that team. If they decide they want to keep putting out what they want to put out and the readers are rejecting it or they're just not feeling it, then we will see what happens. But the Tim Drake book has started right when Dark Crisis is at the tail end, so it doesn't make sense for that to affect it. So again, this is just whoever's watching this. If you don't like the book, don't support it, and then let what happens with it happens. So that's it. I don't know what else to say. I don't know, AJ, if you want to say anything else, but yeah, yeah.
I mean, no, that's basically it. I'm not a fan of what's happening with Tim either, but What was it? I think the last I've read of him was when he appeared in Batman. I haven't been reading the solo book. I thought I might check out that first issue, but then I saw the art and I was like, yeah, you know what? I'm gonna pass on that. Um, yeah, he hadn't had much of a presence in Dark. He hadn't had any presence in Dark Crisis. He's been confined to a tie-in, which
Oh,
is bad, and
we're
also
not talking
written by
about that. I refuse. We're
yeah,
not talking about that. No.
which,
I'm
which
sorry if you guys were looking. I know I said we're going to talk about the times and everything. We are not talking about the Young Justice tie-in because
yeah.
I can guarantee you nothing in that tie-in will matter in the main series. None of it has leaked over, at least to my understanding. So I refuse to talk about it. I'm buying it, because I decided to be the smart guy and sub to everything Dark Crisis, and that meant getting that shitty ass tie-in miniseries. Um, so I refuse to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it. It's not great. Um, all this is fuck it. Here we are talking about it. Okay, fine. We're gonna talk about it.
It's Fitz Martin getting her hate boner off, man,
Yeah,
for
it's
the Young Justice, for the readers. Like it's she's
I,
she's a fan fiction writer who got a job in comics, bro. And, everything
I
people have made critiques about, she's putting them in there.
yes, you said it perfectly, right? Like there's this whole thing with comics gate, right? Because like, oh, they're talking down to us, they hate you, they hate your fans and shit. I have done a good job of just dismissing all that because I think a lot of it is
Hmm.
bullshit.
Yeah,
But
it is. Except for
I
this one is it's.
this is the first time where I've actually felt that. And the fact that a writer that's currently hired by DC is making me feel that is an issue, that is a problem. And the fact that tie-in has consistently shot down in sales, that should have been an indicator for DC. Maybe we should not put this person on a Tim Drake solo book, but I
Hmm.
understand at the same time because DC had shot themselves in the foot by allowing that to happen. Because when you put things like that out into the stratosphere, whether it's in a anthology series or not, and then it picks up steam, all the major news publications are talking about it. Now you have to follow up with it, and that's exactly what happened. So, um, Fitzmartin is not a great writer from what I've seen, and the Tim Drake. Well, I haven't read the Tim Drake stuff, so I don't really like to talk about books I haven't read. I'm just reading the reception of it. But from what
Hmm.
I've gathered from this Young Justice series is that this is somebody who is very up their own ass about certain things, and it's leaking out into the book, and it's an uncomfortable read. Like I felt like there's certain things in the miniseries that's being touched upon. Well, yes, legacy. What does that mean? Hey, this. I came after this person. I think that part. I think that part is. I see what she's doing, but the execution is god awful,
Hmm.
and I don't think this is gonna leak into Dark Crisis at all. This is just DC being nice, and yeah. So the Young Justice Dark Crisis tie-in is dog shit, and I apologize because I have been drinking, but it's dog shit. I don't know
Yeah,
if AJ,
that's
you have
about right.
anything else to say?
I mean, about that, not a ton. She comes across as antagonistic to the very folks that she should be trying to get to read her work. So, I think we had said about what 12 issues for that book. I'm about ready to knock it down to, let's say, maybe 8, because we're
It's
heading
not
into
lasting
20.
a year. It's not lasting a
No,
year.
not no, definitely not. I'll say 8. We're going into 2023. I think you're going to see a lot of books getting canceled, since they're going to have a new wave of titles that they're going to announce going into next month and into the beginning of next year. So they're going to say, hey, if some stuff is kind of treading water, or if it's worse, it's not doing great, but we just needed it on our ledger to show that we're putting something out because we have a limited number of books going on right now. It's going to be very easy for them to get rid of some books that
Mhm.
haven't been doing what they want them to do numbers wise. So not just the Tim Drake stuff. I would look to see a number of titles canceled in the coming months.
And I think a lot of it. I think this should have been a miniseries. The Tim Drakes should have been a miniseries. I
Nah,
think
hold up,
making
bro.
it.
Hold up, bro. Look at Aki's last comment, bro.
Oh, hold on.
Yo, my goodness, bro. Man came in with the chopper spraying, bro.
Yo. Yo, if my hair wasn't fucked up right now, bro, I would put my camera on, but hey,
Bro, I happened to look down right when that popped up. I was like, nah, son. I had to read that a couple times.
yo, I'm screen capping this and I'll put it on it. Yo. Oh shit. Oh man. We can't stay here because I don't know how many Twitter folk are here, so I don't want to lose the audience, but holy shit, that's a bar. That's a bar. Oh shit. But now we got a couple more comments here. We got Fresh News 247. Thank you for popping up. Appreciate you. Dark Crisis is already over and Flash will Beyond. There's no point keeping up with it, yo. Now,
Yeah,
like,
you would mention that, bro. Like, I mean, it is what it is at this point.
it is what it is. It's like, I don't know if you mentioned, I don't know if you caught it earlier, Fresh News, but yeah, I see from a continuity standpoint why it was good to follow both books at the same time, because like I said, both books were being released at the same time, and you saw like you saw them tying into each other. But again, it's like, if I'm a reader and I see that, I don't blame Fresh News is the reader I was talking about. Fresh is literally the reader I was talking about. I get why somebody would feel that way. I get it. I totally understand that. And thank you for the comment. And I think you have a follow-up one here. It says, I have to say I was out of DC for good. I got back in with Flash for Beyond. Now with the new generation book, I'm all in with this new Watchmen building in the... Oh, you know what? I think that might be one of the more positive comments about Flash for Beyond I've seen.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. I really like that. And
I mean, to be honest with you, I think there's going to be a lot of that type of sentiment with John's coming back. I think it's going to bring in a lot of folk who would lapse from DC. You know, my feelings aside from discussing John's, he's done good work for the company. A lot of people still hold him in very high regards. I think his best work probably, is behind him, but he can still turn in a solid project. I think I'm up to like issue 4 of Flashpoint Beyond now, and hey, it's been perfectly readable compared to some of the stuff they're putting out. It's very good. I'm not going to go great, but very good compared to some of their books. So, yeah, that type of stuff. What he's doing with the JSA, and I've heard about how Flashpoint Beyond ends, so I can see that being appealing to a lot of folks.
Yeah, and you know what? To put even a more positive spin on it, bro. Like, I think Prime Gundam or somebody else we were spoken to said this the best. Any comic can be somebody's first comic.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, me and Elvis go back and forth a lot, maybe about, like Williamson's, Flash run. That was my first Flash run. So
Right.
I have a different attachment to it than, him, who may have, who has had more experience with Williamson and the Flash. So he may have a different understanding about how that works versus me, who's, oh, I'm just trying to get as much of the DC universe in as possible. And I obviously I'm going to be attached, especially if I resonate with certain things that's happening. So this is good to see. Like, this is really good to see, because I know people have an issue with Jeff Johns kind of going back to the Watchmen. Well, and, I'll give Jeff Johns a little bit of leeway here, because it's like, I think the way he approached, I think he had good intentions back in 2016 when he tried to introduce this, but he was just made the chief creative officer for the movies, and then I think everything was just bad timing. Everything was bad timing with him. So I feel like now he's trying again, but it looks like things are maybe being more well thought out. And even with Flash from Beyond, instead of like contradicting, instead of him and Snyder contradicting each other, like what happened with Doomsday Clock and Death Metal, Jeff Johns is reading what's happening in these books, bro. Like, we even saw it before Flash from Beyond had started. Like, bro, that chalkboard that Batman was looking at, it clearly referenced the things that we were currently going through. What's going on with Deathstroke, 5G, the Justice League is dead. I was like, okay, so people give Jeff, oh, he's not reading the books. Jeff Johns is reading the books, bro. I think a lot of it may be just personal bias because of everything that's happened, Ray Fisher and all that stuff. But I think this time around, Jeff Johns is going to be more in cahoots with what's happening with the rest of the line. So this is really good to see. Like I'm really happy that you put that comment out there, Fresh News. Thank you for that. Much appreciated. Much appreciated. Well, let's see here. Let's see here. Aki said it would take time, but when someone who really cares about Tim actually writes him, yeah, I think that goes without saying. Honestly, that goes without saying. I think Tim has been fumbled a lot. I think James Tynion came into the picture, and I think James Tynion really put Tim back in the forefront. And I really saw the steam picking up for Tim. And I sat down and I waited for James Tynion's run to finish, and I read it all in one go. And I was like, you could read all
his
the
Batman
other
or his detective run.
Detective, excuse me.
Okay, yeah, I was gonna say, because his detective run, I rock with that heavy.
Yeah. I think
I'm not gonna speak about his Batman.
Yeah, I think if you've been a Tim Drake fan, and I've been, my Tim Drake knowledge is not as great as other people's, but I think if you take the stuff that's happened before and then you add James Tynion's Detective Comics run on top of that, like, you have a good progression right here. And then after that, I think they just said, hey, whoever wants to take Tim and do whatever with Tim, go ahead and do it. And I think that was to their detriment.
Absolutely.
That was to their detriment. I think Bendis did that damage to him. And then everything that happened with Megan Fitzmartin. So it's easy to just say, oh, everything that happened with Megan Fitzmartin, oh, that ruined Tim. No, I think it's just a collective. I think it's just bad editorial. Like, it's not fair to just put it all on Fitzmartin. No, Tim has been in the gutter for a while now.
And I'm gonna be honest, the Gotham editorial, the Batman office, basically, the Gotham group, I'll just say this: it's a reason the main Batman book is edited by different editors than the people who do all the other Gotham-based books, because they are not going to let that shit go down in that book. Some of these other books, like you say, the Fitzmartin book, Batgirls, Nightwing. I'm off on Nightwing for a bit with Taylor, but I did pick up the trade with some of the Fear State stuff, and I'm just like, really? Like, this is what we're... I don't know. They need a stronger editorial hand in that office, put it that way. I'll just leave it at that.
yeah, it's a stronger editorial hand, and it's just like you can tell there's. Let me backtrack. I want to make sure I express this coherently, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, I can appreciate why you have Chip Zdarsky doing what he's doing with Tim in his book, and then there's whatever's happening with Megan Fitzmartin in that book. Because at least, regardless of the quality, you get two different sides. You have options. You know what I'm saying? I like it when
Right.
we have options. So if you don't like what's happening with Megan Fitzmartin's Tim Drake, you can go and check out what's happening with Zdarsky. I feel like Tim, it's a Batman and a Tim story, but also a stealth Justice League book, which we'll get to that later. But yeah, I feel like you can have that happening, but if you're somebody who happens to like what's happening with Megan Fitzmartin and the LGBTQ bi representation, you can fuck with them. You can fuck with that too. It's not bad to have options, and I think DC read the room a little bit. It's like, all right, bro, Chip, come on, help us out real quick. Can you make sure that Tim Drake is in your book? Make sure it's action based. Cool, I like that. So I think Chip really does care about Tim. I don't know what the long term plans are because it looks like Chip is going to be on the book for a while. So I would hope he continues with that. You know what I'm saying? So people have options. Let's see here. We got. Oh, hold on. Aki said, I don't like Johns, but the man at least could keep shit in some level at direction at DC. I don't know, AJ, you want to touch upon this
I
first?
mean, that's mostly true. John, you said it best earlier. You said it best, and you just put it simply. Johns is reading the books that's coming out at DC, and I absolutely agree with that. You can tell when writers aren't reading each other's work. I pointed it out earlier with the Dark Crisis stuff and Superman stuff, just straight up not lining up with where his power set was at in his own book. Um, Johns Johns writes his stories with an editorial mindset behind him because and it makes sense because he has been in editorial before. So
Mm-hmm.
he knows like, hey, we need to make sure this lines up with what's going on over here. We need to make sure this lines up in an event that we have coming up, which is why I'm really surprised that that final issue of Flashpoint Beyond came out before they had wrapped up um Dark Crisis. It seems like
Mm-hmm.
somebody would have caught it and said, hey, we need to delay this issue a month or so to let this event finish up, and then we put it out to show because apparently his book ends and kind of spoils what goes down with Dark Crisis. So um yeah, he is someone who can keep things together. I just keep things together and keep them in line at DC. I just wonder. We've seen what happens when Jeff Johns gets too much on his plate, right? We
Yeah.
saw with Doomsday Clock taking what, like 2.5 years to come out, and it was supposed to be like a 6-month book or
Mm-hmm.
something like that. We've seen what happens when he gets too much on his plate. We've seen it with this JSA book that he's doing that's been being talked about for years, and it's really just now getting ready to come out. We've seen how the wheels can kind of come off with him when it comes to getting projects out on time, and that has hurt the line before.
Yeah.
It's the reason why we Snyder's Justice League did not finish up inside of Justice League, and we had to turn that into an event for what was that, Dark Knight's Death Metal.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there's a reason why that story did not finish up inside the Justice League book. It's the reason why his Justice League just ends in a cliffhanger with the Justice League going into a black page. That
Mm-hmm.
was not something that was planned, but they say, hey, we need to make your ending bigger to do an event because our main thing that we have going on that's supposed to shape our universe going forward is not happening on the time schedule, the time frame that we need it to be happening on. So yes, Jeff Johns can keep things in order. He can keep things on track, but you cannot let that man have any distractions, or it can
Yeah.
derail your entire line, as we've seen before.
Yeah, and I like how I like the approach this time around, because it's like Flashpoint Beyond is kind of its own self-contained thing. And again, as much as I just shit on the Omniverse, I think it's a good use of the Omniverse as well, because it's like, say if it did get delayed for whatever reason, I think it's only had one delay, which is great, which is not bad. But
Right.
say if there was a further delay, what I'm saying, it's like, all right, cool, it's fine, because it's its own self-contained thing. I think with Doomsday Clock, it's just like it was promoted as this big game changer. And at the end of it all, like, a lot of the changes that were set forward at the end of Doomsday Clock really didn't tie into the main line at all. And yeah, I do agree with you. Maybe that was one of the reasons why Justice League, Death Metal, which was supposed to be contained in Justice League, was spun out of this whole thing. Because I think it was just a lot of things. I think Doomsday Clock was part of, maybe that was one of the other reasons why Dan Didio got the boot, because it was a fucking shit show up there. And maybe everything that happened with Johns is why things played out the way it did. But yeah, I think if he just keeps things self-contained, they're giving him mini series instead of like ongoings, so you could, again, if there's any delays or whatever, it's a mini series, so it already has its set story. And most likely, if there is going to be plans to implement it into the line, it wouldn't happen until the story is done. So it's nice course correcting. So again, I'm excited for Jeff Johns being, one of the head honchos at DC once again. And I know I made a whole video about that. But yeah, and it seems like my audience, they seem to be on board with it too. So it seems like at some point, at some section of the DC fandom, they're very receptive to this this happening. So this is cool, man. I like it. I really do like it. And I don't know if Tevi is still here, but this is another great question. Any opinion on Joshua Williamson writing the main Superman book in 2023? I will say this. The last couple months of Joshua Williamson have been very shaky for me. Joshua Williamson has gotten on books with a clear plan, a very clear plan. And he says, I want to tell this story. And then after I'm done telling the story, I'm going to leave. The man has explicitly stated he does not have any long-term goals for another 50 to 100 issue run. If that has changed, then fine, I will retract my statement. But right now, current Joshua Williamson, I am very scared for that Superman book, because I feel like he will stay on for a year, and then the book may be shuffled on to somebody else. And 9 out of 10 times, when the books that Joshua Williamson on, they get shafted over to lower talent, and then the book ends up either ending or being repurposed into another series. You know what I'm saying? We've seen it with Deathstroke Inc. It was very clear from the jump Deathstroke Inc. was supposed to be a mini series leading into Dark Crisis. And then once he was
just
gone,
sold well enough that folk were like, hey, let's keep this around for a bit.
And now it's stealth canceled. I think Deathstroke Inc. is probably one of the first books I've seen in recent memory that's been stealth canceled. That's normally a Marvel trait. I don't want Joshua Williamson to repeat this habit with, other books.
You can kind of peep the game with Deathstroke Inc. when after Williamson left, and they said the new storyline they were doing, and they called it Year One. I was like, uh-oh. I think this is going to be out of here kind of quick. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's been a good story. It's probably better than 80% of what Williamson did when he was on the book, but I like, you know, I can tell this is gonna be over kind of quick, which is, kind of surprising considering how much DC pushes Deathstroke, from Titans to showing up in live action to Gun
Mhm.
basically doing everything but holding up a bright neon sign that says we're gonna bring in Deathstroke into the movies at some point.
He-
Them canceling that is kind of surprising. It makes me wonder, do they have something else coming up for them? But who knows? Maybe that's a casualty of what happens in Dark Crisis.
Yeah, and again, I think all of it kind of boils down to prominence as well, because it's like, you
Hmm.
have a Superman running around, even though everything that's happening in Dark Crisis, you have a Batman running around, Wonder Woman, right? But
Yeah,
all of a sudden, it's wrong for Williamson to hop off what he was doing with Deathstroke Inc. And so we just can't have a Deathstroke book running around, even though that's the case for a couple of the other characters. So again, it's priority, prominence. So I don't want that to happen to Superman. My idea is that maybe Joshua Williamson will do, you know, maybe 12 issues, maybe more, and then we'll have a case where maybe it's Philip Kennedy Johnson that's doing Action Comics and Superman. I don't know
I don't
what
know. I don't know
his
why they didn't give the book back to him from the beginning. Remember, he was on Superman until he left to go to War World. I don't know why they didn't just give him the book back, but
I think
who
maybe
knows? That's above my pay grade.
let's put our tinfoil hats on. Let's put our tinfoil hats on.
All
Let's
right,
put
go
this
ahead.
tinfoil. Okay, so um, Philip Kennedy Johnson has been building a lot of steam with the War World, right? So
Right.
that's been selling pretty well. It's been climbing up the charts. So what I reckon is that, all right, cool, do what you're doing with Action Comics, and now we have more information about Action Comics is going to be more like an anthology, right? So now Philip
Hmm.
Kennedy Johnson doesn't have the same page count. Before it was just Philip Kennedy Johnson and whoever else was doing the backup. Now it's Philip Kennedy Johnson. Then it's Dan Jurgens. Then it's what's is it? Is either Teeny Howard or Leo. So now he's cut off at the knees, but he's already garnered the good graces of the fans, right? So what if they put Joshua Williamson on the book? He's the bigger name. He's gonna build up the book for like a year. Philip Kennedy Johnson is going to keep building up his stature because he's already building that good grace. So when Williamson leaves, the only logical thing you can do is put Philip Kennedy Johnson on, because he already now has the backing to help sustain the book. So then
And
if
I
you see
go
the
ahead. Sorry.
signs, you see the signs,
Yeah, no,
right?
I absolutely do, and I hope it's the case because I mean he was starting something up on the main Superman book before I found out they were canceling it. I was like, okay, I want to see where this goes. Talking about how he got the radiation poisoning when he and John were helping out Amanda Waller and
Mm-hmm.
what's that, Star Labs and stuff. I was like, okay, bringing some other dimensional threats in that can affect him on a molecular level. I was like, all right, that might be a little interesting. Let's see where it goes. And then he went to War World, and they kind of never picked that up. So I would love to get back to that, and maybe he could pick up with that if he ever did take over the main run.
Yeah, and yeah, I think some of it was picked up on because shout out to Comic Steve. He pointed it out to me. He's like, yeah, the radiation thing, it was fixed up because I think in War World it was I think he got a bunch of like additional powers, because I think War World is a very complex story, low key, but I think in that story he was juiced up and that cured the radiation. So, he did follow up on that. He did. I think the only thing he didn't follow up on, and I had to remind him, because that did happen. I had to remind Philip Kennedy Johnson on fucking Twitter, hey, bro, you started something here, and we need you to kind of wrap it up or touch up on it again. Was the Aquaman part, because remember, Clark had went and he snatched up the the tablet, the Genesis tablet or whatever, and then Arthur said, "Hey, bro, you take this, it's going to change the dynamic between the both of us. So, the Philip Kennedy Johnson forgot about that, and I had to remind him. So that's what I want to see touched upon. That's what I want to see. But yeah, I can definitely see a scenario where that's the case, because it's good planning, it's good editorial management, and you're low key cutting off Philip Kennedy Johnson with this new age of action comics, because now he got to share the book with 2 or 3 other people. So it makes sense. He has a good grasp on Superman. He has a good grasp on the Superman family. He's doing good work on the Action Comics and Son of Kal-El tie-in. Well, excuse me, crossover. So why not? Yeah, why not? Why not? Aki said, I was wondering why they had the Megan person, instead of just hiring Tynan, who did great with Tim and Detective Comics, and Tynan is bisexual as well. Okay, context. Context is very important. Context is very important here. Before Tynan made that whole big deal about Substack and what have you, the plan was that he had a story where he was going to do like a House and Powers thing, where Tim Drake was going to be the center of that story.
Which is why I'm so glad his Batman he got out of there with Substack, even though that flopped as well.
So
I couldn't handle that much Tynan.
So he and I think this was right around the time before folk kind of started turning on the run. But the plan was he was going to focus on Tim Drake. That was going to be the centerpiece of that story. But whatever happened with Tynan happened. I mean, it's actually, I don't want to say whatever happened with Tynan. Listen, Tynan and editorial had a beef. You read the Substack, you'll see it all there. They weren't gelling together. It was a lot of nonsense going on. So once he was approached with the bag, he said, all right, fuck it, boom. But I think editorial still held on to the point of, all right, shit, we just bumped up Tim to, Tim Drake just got all this press. Tynan was going to do something with them. Okay, Megan, do whatever you want to do. So Tynan was originally going to do something well with him, but he ended up leaving. So that's the story there. Yeah. I don't know if you want to add it on anything. I don't know if you want to add on any more to that, AJ.
Not much. Just the Substack stuff. Which not just Tynan, but I think a lot of these creators in general. We're seeing that deal is not ending up being as lucrative for a lot of them as they thought it were. I think a number of them have just had to go and just make their Substacks free altogether. I think you're going to see a lot of these creators crawling back to the big two in 2023, because the bag is not there for probably like 90% of them like they thought it would be.
Yeah. No.
I think Hickman might have put out a few comics. I think Cates has put out a book or two. Tynan has done, I think, digital releases. I don't even know if he's published his physical yet like he was supposed to, but yeah, it's not there like they thought it would be. I don't know why they thought it would be, because anybody who was looking from the outside in could tell you, like, hey, this probably isn't going to work. But they gave it a shot, so it is what it is. But yeah, he did have the beef with editorial. I'm usually kind of harsh on editorial, but I think it's probably one of the times where they were probably a little more right than the creative team was. Because Tynan wanted to do, he mentioned in his Substack, wanted to do, like you said, a House X, Powers of 10 type thing in the Batman universe. First off, I've made it no secret, after Joker War and his Dark Designs, I really wasn't a fan of Tynan's run. So him having control of the entire Gotham section of DC, I think that would have been a mistake. A lot of the things that he's put forward, there's been a couple things that have stuck around, mainly Punchline and Ghostmaker, but they don't seem to be having any kind of major impact. Ghostmaker, he's got this Batman Inc. mini. It looks like they're setting up some more mystery boxes with him and Batman's past, but and maybe a sidekick or two that existed before. But yeah, I don't think this stuff is meant to last. You see it with just a lot of the other creations that have just all but disappeared from DC already from that short run. What Gardner?
Oh shit, that's right.
Yeah. What is it? All the Simon Saints, the Peacekeeper X, that other Peacekeeper that he made for like 2 issues that was supposedly still around.
Mayor Nakano.
Yeah, him. What is that? Renee being commissioner, maybe not being commissioner. I think that's still around. I don't know, how long that's gonna last. It's just, I think that's part of the reason why some of the Gotham books are, they're still dealing with the aftermath of that stuff, trying to dig their way out. But I think DC, they didn't see it as good, them losing him when it happened, but I think they should definitely be counting their blessings now
Yeah.
in hindsight. A lot of that stuff, yeah, people complain about too many about the Batman books or Batman related characters because there's too many of them. I complain about them because some of them are just doing this stupid shit that Timon was doing and trying to keep that going, not realizing that those sales numbers were artificially inflated, guys. If you're
Yeah.
introducing a new character every other issue, of course your numbers are going to be high. If you're
Yeah.
putting out 40 variant covers every issue, of course your numbers are going to be high. If half of those 40 variant covers are thirst trapping variant covers, of course your numbers are going to be high, guys. The run was not good, and DC realized it later than they should have. But better late than never, I guess.
And I mean, also too, we could circle this back to Dark Crisis. I wouldn't be surprised. I really wouldn't be surprised if a lot of the sales for Dark Crisis is because of the shit ton of variants. Like, I'll be honest with you, bro. Like, those variants are fire.
Yes,
Those
a
are
lot. Yes, I bought a lot of
beautiful.
them myself. Like that Justice Society variant, bro. Flames. The Red Canary joints. That's first off new. Once again, like I'm saying, new first appearance of a new character. That's gonna go up in money. So yeah, I bought a few of those. Um, y- they're gaming Dark Crisis. They're doing the same thing they did with Titans Run, which is the same thing. Marvel is done with book. Everybody does it. We know the game, but yeah, like those numbers are probably half of what the actual numbers are probably half of what they're saying they are because you got people buying 2, 3 copies just to get the different covers. I mean, it is what it is.
It's bro, it's gaming the system. I mean, at this point, because like, I mean, yo, you brought up a good fucking point. You brought up a great yo. What the? I did not see a inkling of that Red Canary character, bro. I just saw her lips. I
Bruh,
just saw the announcement, and that is it.
she had a panel where she was sitting on her bed in her bedroom. She had another panel where she was looking up at like a picture with Black. I think it was in the Hall of Justice, a picture of all the leaguers, and she was looking up at Black Canary. And that's been about it. She's supposed to be in that tie-in with Damien. That's supposed to come out,
Oh
I think,
yeah, I
later
got you.
on. But
Yeah.
that's going to be the first time we actually see her do anything. We still don't even know what her connection is to Black Canary.
Mm-hmm.
So but yeah, no, it's definitely a way to game the system between introducing a new character, between doing all these variants, between changing the name to Dark Crisis on Infinite Earths.
Oh
Yeah,
my, that's fucking. I
they've done a
talked
lot of
about that
gaming.
with Elvis a little bit. Oh, let's talk about that bullshit for a second. Oh my god. I so I listened to his Absolute Comics uh interview with Benny and Sal. Bro, he's like, yeah,
Hmm.
we knew back in January we were gonna do the
Bullshit.
switch. I was like, all right, bro. Like, what the fuck? Bro? Like, no. Like, I'm sorry, no. Like, listen, I don't know if it was because of sales, but even let's just say if it was because of sales, I don't even. I think it was pointless because at this point, like Joshua Williamson has built himself up to be a pretty prominent name, and also, bro, you already know crises are gonna sell, and but also on the flip side too, just like I don't know, maybe they heard some of the rumors that were circulating. Oh, maybe comic shops maybe over ordered. DC may be doing a thing about returns and stuff. It's like maybe they
That
heard
first
that.
issue, not making the chart spooked them, and I think they decided to change stuff
Mm,
because it's the first issue of an event of a new crisis, and you don't, they're get we just have what they place at, top 50, top 200. They get actual numbers as to how many units
yeah.
moved, and when it didn't show up top 200, so you know you're talking about events in the single digit, in the single thousand digits, like less than 10,000 copies. If that's what happened and it wasn't just an error on those lists, that is insane.
Yeah. I think it might have been an error because
I'm hoping it was. I'm hoping it was, because if
yeah,
not,
because
that's oof.
we did the stream, and issue 2 popped up
Yeah,
and
two was
whatever
on
have
there. The
you.
tie-ins were on there, but issue
Yes.
one, boy, I was like, oof.
Yeah, I was like, hey, bro, ain't no way, bro, because the way number ones be selling like hotcakes, I don't
Yeah.
know, bro, but yeah,
Once they changed the name, it appeared up there. So I'm like, okay, maybe
and it came
I
with a
don't know if
shit
they
ton of
went back and
variants.
did something, but yeah, all the variants, the name change, the first appearance. Like I said, man, it's just a way to boost up the sales, because Williamson was talking about this Red Canary when they first introduced that cover, and she, what's her connection to Dinah gonna be? And we have one issue left, bro. We haven't learned a thing.
We haven't learned a goddamn thing, and bro, it's the same thing they did with what is it? Those first 2 issues when Punchline was in the shit, bro. It's
Hmm.
like remember how crazy the streets was going for Batman? I think it was
Bro,
89, and
what?
what is it? What's the other shit? Tynan did it also. You're the villain. Uh, what is it? Year of the Hell Arisen. Boy, remember how the
Yeah.
streets was on fire?
Hmm.
You remember how the streets was on fire, bro?
I mean,
Oh,
when they saw her, bro, um, it was like, and for especially when they were playing off the Asian stereotypes with Punchline, and yeah, like I remember that J. Scott Campbell variant cover, bro. Like niggas was going insane for that joint with her in the kimono. I think she was either standing behind Joker or sitting on him or something. Like them,
I
bruh.
remember that.
Streets was going crazy. That covered, like, comic shops kept raising the price of that variant. I was like, oh, this gonna be something. And then it took forever. They're still trying to define her as a character now, bro. And this is what, a year and a half, 2 years later. Like, so hey, I guess.
Bro, I remember, I don't mean to sidetrack, with the audience, but listen, I remember when I went to one of my local comic shops, I go to like 2 or 3, but this is back when I
Hmm.
used to work on my other job. Yo, I got to the fucking store, bro. And there was a sign right in front of the door. Yo, if you trying to order Batman 89, you ordering it now, you are pre-ordering it because you are not gonna come into this shop and
And
give
try
us
to
hell.
get
So
it day release day. Hmm.
release day, boy. I went there and I ordered like I think I ordered like 2 or 3. Still have 2, and the other ones I sent over to Quentin. I think I ordered 4 of them shits, bro. They said, "Hey, bro, you're not giving us hell because um I think comic shops were overwhelmed when You're the Villain Hell Arisen came out. So and then I think Batman 89 or whatever. So it was like, hey, we're not doing that shit again. I remember, but I didn't I thought it was just a social media thing.
Right.
I thought Bleeding Cool was just on some bullshit. Nah, bro, I went and seen that in full price. They said, hey, bro, you want that shit? Order now. Order now. We're not playing. We're not playing. But yeah, man, it's a game in the system, and I think with the Red Canary thing, kind of to wrap up, it definitely a game in the system. Now the big thing here is just like what's going to be the aftermath. So this is how you know it's going to be some bullshit. If whatever is happening with this Green Arrow story or this Green Arrow, series, if that doesn't bleed into that, that's how you know right off the bat they were on that bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
That's how
Which
you know.
I would not be surprised to learn.
Yeah. But yeah, I think this is a good place to wrap up, bro. We went going on for like 2 hours and 30 motherfucking minutes, man. It's been fucking great. But yeah,
Absolutely.
AJ, I just want to say thank you for for coming through, man. I know I think it was good that we had a follow-up to our first stream because yeah, we had a lot of fun. The first one we had a lot of speculations, but I think for the viewership, it was good for us to kind of do a little retrospect. All right, we 6 issues in. How do we feel? So I appreciate you for coming through, and I know Quentin's not here, but I appreciate him for coming through as well. So to wrap up, man, go ahead, feel free to plug yourself, and I'll throw your Twitter right here up on the screen.
Yeah, no doubt, man. Thanks for having me. It was good, definitely good to be back. I hadn't done one of these in a while, but anyway, they can find me on Twitter at Mr. _ Mitchell _ the number 2 _ the letter U. You can find me there for the time being until that website inevitably burns to the ground. I am having so much fun just in my spare time, just watching what next stupid ass decision Musk can come up with. Because oh my god, this is gonna be fun. It's not gonna be here much longer, but it's fun.
Oh,
So yeah, y'all catch me there, and we'll figure out what to do next once Twitter's gone.
Word. And y'all can find me on, Roliver Queen _ yeah, the whole thing, man. I can find me there, talk about booze, comic books, pretty feet, you know the deal. Yeah, so come through, follow your boy. And thank you guys for everybody, who's been checking out the channel. Let me just go ahead and put this shit right here. Thank you guys to everybody who's be showing love to the channel, man. Subscriber count keep going up. So I appreciate y'all. And yeah, I literally recorded a fucking video this morning before I went to work. So I probably will put it out tomorrow morning. I kind of just go on a rant about the whole Green Arrow aspect. Like I know we were gonna talk about Dark Crisis tonight, so I really didn't hone in too much on that. But yeah, look out for that in the morning. And yeah, guys, I know I keep talking about the podcast, Comic School Authority. Yeah, man, like I said, I mentioned it last week. The the hunger is coming back. The thrive is coming back. I think I just needed to, surround myself, in certain spaces. So I've been on a couple other podcasts. I've been in some areas, in real life as well. So the drive is coming back. So yeah, man. If I know we in November, but yeah, we coming back, strong in 2023, and I'm promised we're not gonna wait long. I'm not gonna have you guys wait long for the pod, man, and the pod will be on, my channel. So I know you guys really do appreciate, AJ and Elvis on the channel. So I think it was a good decision to just move the pod here. So look out for that. I promise we won't wait too long. But yeah, I miss Potter with the brothers, man. I miss Potter with my guys. So I know we need it. I know Elvis is itching to get back into the game. I'm itching to get back into the game. I know AJ is itching to get back in the game as well. But yeah, we'll be back definitely. So stay tuned. But with that said, y'all have a good night. Thank you for tuning in. Much love, much peace. It's your boy Roliver Queen and it's your boy AJ. And we are out.